Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, Powers Health.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and the last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
When your home needs help, the last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local, family-owned, here for your family.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana. And this is the morning call with Tom Dabertin, and it's great to be here with you. We've had a rough week. We've had a very trying week. A lot of frustration out there, and we'll get to your calls this morning at 845-1100. And don't forget, at 7 a.m., Barb Regnitz, the candidate for U.S. Congress on the Republican ticket, will be here live. She'll take your calls. So what we'll do, I'm anticipating we'll have a number of calls, so we'll let people call, ask their questions, and then hang up and listen to Barb's reply. So that'll all begin at 7 o'clock, and then at 8:30 we have Think Parks. So that'll end our day a little bit early. So give us a call at 845-1100, but let's begin with traffic and weather, and then we're going to give an update on utility outages as well. Traffic looking actually quite good in Northwest Indiana this morning. 80-94, I-65, the toll road all look good. Klein Avenue continues to have a slowdown due to construction. The Bishop Ford, on the other hand, not so great. It's backed up to 115th, and it looks like that backup's going to continue to grow. It appears there's an accident somewhere right around the turn, right at about 103rd. So be careful over there. There is also some traffic on I-57. The Skyway looks good. As far as the Dan Ryan is backing up at 35th, which is usually expected. Lakeshore Drive looks good. The Kennedy, the Eisenhower, and the Stevenson, not bad for this time of the morning, but the Stevenson is starting to build into the city, and 294 all the way up to O'Hare looks great. With that, let's go to weather.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 65 degrees with highs of 78 and lows of 63. It's going to be cloudy this morning with a shower in spots, then shifting clouds and sun this afternoon with a thunderstorm in spots and humid. And tomorrow and Thursday we'll be having highs of 80 and lows of 59. Should be partly sunny, pleasant, and less humid. And Friday we'll be having highs of 76 and lows of 62. It should be partly sunny and humid.
All right, so looks like we'll have some rain today. I know a lot of people are getting very, very frustrated, and I do want to give a shout-out to some of the mayors. I think some of the mayors in Northwest Indiana have done an unbelievably good job of communicating with their residents. Mayor McDermott probably leads the pack. He and his staff and his administration have been communicating with people through Facebook and other social media resources daily, if not more. doing a great job keeping people apprised of what's going on. Mayor Copeland actually has been out there. Mayor Land, Pete Land of Crown Point, I think would be a close second to Mayor McDermott. I've seen posts from Mayor Huddleston. I've seen posts from the town of Munster, Cherville, Highland. Everybody is getting the word out. There is some growing frustration up in Whiting, as the city has elected not to provide updates. They did provide one update yesterday about where you could find spots to charge your phones, and that's it. There's growing upset in Whiting Robertsdale because basically they had power during the storm. About 500 resident customers did not after the storm, and then last Thursday, that number jumped to about 2,800 customers in Whiting and Robertsdale because of power outages, and it lasted till Saturday. And then yesterday morning, the power went out for a very large swath of residents up there, and the reason why was because NIPSCO basically reconnected a transformer and backfed it. And basically, it burst into flames. There was a lot of coverage on some of the folks that are on Facebook, for example. Region News Source also had it. The Times had it, and they backfed a transformer, and now have to replace that transformer. I think it's somewhere around Railroad Avenue, where it occurred. But they had to cut the feed or the distribution south of, or downstream, I should say, from that transformer, and that affected a lot of people in Whiting and Robertsdale and East Chicago, and people are very upset because they had power and they lost power, and that was a man-made problem. Going down to Munster, you see a lot of people becoming very frustrated because there was a claim once again that there was going to be restoration of power by this Friday, and now NIPSCO is backing off from that. The damage in Munster is far more severe than I've seen in a lot of communities, and so they're backing off there. Portage is another community where they're backing off on some of these claims. NIPSCO still has about 100,000 customers without power. When you say 100,000 customers, you're probably talking about 300,000 people without power. So that's a pretty significant number of people that are being affected, and I understand the frustration. It's growing, and rightly so. When you look at the NIPSCO distribution system, it's very obvious that they really never took care of it. Look at the utility poles that are listing and leaning all over the place. Look at all the lines that were down. Just to give you an example, when I'm down in Florida, I've talked actually to some of the linemen down there, some of which are up here, I guess. I've seen some trucks from Florida. But when you talk to the linemen down in Florida, they point out that they use these extra clips to hold wires up in case of a storm. And I asked one of the linemen last winter, I said, well, how much do those clips cost? And he said, maybe $2. And those clips basically keep the wires from falling down. Okay. They also, of course, use hardened utility poles, concrete reinforced poles, steel poles. Up here, we're the king of steel. We produce more steel than anywhere in the United States, and you can't find a steel pole except for a few exceptions. So, again, there's no excuse for NIPSCO's lack of keeping their system up to date and keeping it, being prepared for these kinds of storms. The substation by me is supposed to be rebuilt next year or the year after. That substation was built in 1946 or 47. All right, so you've got a substation that basically goes all the way back to just after World War II, and it hasn't been updated. And there are a lot of problems with the NIPSCO infrastructure system. And I'm not blaming Lions people, although obviously some Lions people made some mistakes in East Chicago the other night to create the fire and the outage that now exists. But I do blame the NIPSCO leadership. They need to step up, and they need to improve their system. And speaking of stepping up, I also will just comment about the situation that occurred the other day in Gary. There was an assessment crew that goes out and basically assesses the area to determine whether and what is needed to be repaired. They were going around and somebody shot at the vehicle. And then a group of individuals from the city of Gary decided to claim that Paul Goddard from Region News Source made the story up and that he was a racist because he was running this story about problems with the shooting at NIPSCO. And then the Times and other organizations and the city of Gary came out and said it was true. The guy that actually started the post refuses to admit that he was wrong, even though a few people took to social media and said, look, you need to admit that you're wrong on this. And he's like, no, I'm not going to admit anything. I'm not going to admit anything that I'm wrong. I'm tired. I don't know about you, but I'm just tired of people playing the race card every time there's a problem. Okay. You live in Gary. You have problems. You have people that shoot at utility crews that are trying to restore power to your community, and you shoot at them. You deserve to be called out. It was a legitimate news story, and yet, these individuals, and there were a lot of them, decided instead to claim that it was an example of racism. There's no such thing as racism when you're reporting the news. All right, it's just like Dejanay Carrington claiming white privilege when she got called for a flagrant foul and was thrown out of the game a week and a half ago during the Fever Sky game when she attacked Sophie Cunningham. So it's just ridiculous, and it's time to drop these claims. It's time to quit blaming racism on absolutely everything. And in the city of Gary, you've got some problem people, okay? You don't want to admit to it. I realize there are some people that they just want to sweep everything under the rug in their community, and whether it's Gary or anywhere else, they do it. But you have some problem people, and if somebody shoots at a NIPSCO crew or a utility crew, they need to be called out on it. It needs to be reported. It's legitimate news. And don't claim that it's racism because somebody said the obvious. It's just ridiculous. Again, 845-1100 is the number to call. We don't have any callers yet. We hope we have lots of callers when Barb Regnitz comes on.
I don't think our phone system's going to work today.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. We will. This is really going to be a difficult situation, but we'll do what we did last week, folks. Go ahead. If you want to call at 219-218-2735, 219-218-2735, and we will patch you in. I know that YouTube is working, right?
Yep.
YouTube's working. The TuneIn app is working. But if you want to call us, use my cell at 219-218-2735. We'll do it again. I wish somebody had told me beforehand, but we will persevere. So if you want to contact the show this morning, you're going to have to do it through my cell. So that includes when Barb Regnitz is here. We're going to put the call on, and we've got a caller, and I'm going to bet that this is Walt. Good morning. You are on the air.
It is Walt. I've been calling the 1100 number, and I called in 3-4 times, and I kept getting a message saying you weren't taking calls.
Yeah. So again, let me just get the news out there. Our phone system is not working, so use my cell 219-218-2735. All right. Good morning, Walt. In spite of the technical problem.
Well, my power finally went on, and it was nice to have. Although we have a generator, it keeps the light and the fridge on and so forth. But people don't have that. I'm sure it's a miserable thing for them to have to deal with. The Chicago media has been covering some of these stories out of Northwest Indiana. I've never heard so much attention given to Northwest Indiana in a long, long time. But they're giving tons of coverage on the sad impact of no energy, and of course that should be a lesson to all of us that. Energy makes civilization possible, and you start messing with it, pretending as if you can do without coal and others as a backup to wind and solar and so forth, which is very unreliable. Just look at California. But let's move along. Didlo asked me to tune into this new on-air personality, Rob Kindle, out of Indianapolis.
Yes.
And he asked that I listen and feedback my opinion of it. I was really impressed. I liked it a lot. Rob is speaking from the perspective of a true independent, rooted in Middle America, namely, I think he's really sensitive to issues that impact on working and middle-class people. He criticized both Republicans and Democrats, and from what I heard, he was spot on. I mean, he was making legitimate points, and I hope they keep him on. The one thing that didn't work all that great was that every so often the sound would stop, and it would be off for about 15 seconds, and then the sound would come back in. So maybe there's a problem there that somebody needs to work on. What do you think?
Well, again, there have been so many technical issues. After all, I'm sitting here holding my phone to a microphone so that you can be on the air. So were those technical problems in last week due to all the problems we've had from the storm, or is it a regular problem? I'm going to take a guess that it's probably due to the aftermath of the storm.
Well, with the power off and not being able to watch TV news, and I listened to all of it, all the networks, plus NTD, plus Japan, Germany. I even listened to watch news out of communist China. But in any case, so I ended up listening to a lot of talk show people, and one of them was Bill Cunningham, and apparently he's big. His program goes out over like 600 radio stations, and any case, he mentioned one of his pieces was talking about the fact that the governor of Massachusetts, I think her name was Healy,
yes.
Catholic, and that she recently signed a law allowing for abortions up to the moment of birth.
Yeah, there's been a big push. There's been a big push about excommunicating her, and I don't understand the Catholic Church. I really don't. The Catholic Church will constantly talk about the need to, about pro-life, which is a great standpoint in my own personal belief. But then they go and they kowtow to politicians, and
right.
You've got the Pope greeting Mayor Johnson, who probably has never set foot in a church, let alone a Catholic church, and yet tries to take on the Trump administration, and they're probably the most right to life administration in 50 years. So I just don't get that one, Walt. Hey, I'm going to let you go because we have other people trying to call in, and we only have one phone line. So
great.
You have a great day. 845, excuse me, do not call 845-1100. Call my cell phone, 219-218-2735. I know I had a couple of people that we missed. I saw Mad Mac was one of them. So if you want to call in now, I can only take one call at a time, folks. So 219-218-2735 is the number, and it'll get you in. And a bunch of people are now texting me to tell me that the phone lines are out. Yes, we know that. But there's not much we can do about that. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. And we basically, we'll do what we can to, I get Mad Mac, turn your phone on. Well, Mad Mac, my phone is on. The problem is that, again, we don't have phone lines to the station, so we're using my cell phone. So, people send these things, and they're upset because they can't get through. It's like, well, if people are calling, we can only take one call at a time. So 219-218-2735 218-2735. And there is Mad Mac, who's going to be indignant that he only understands we have one call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Are you with me?
You are live on the air because we're using my cell phone because the phone lines are down at the station.
Well, I was just double checking. You sound great with your phone again, Tom. It's Mad Mac. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you?
Very good. Well, good as you can be when your life depends on a red plastic container to fill with gas to keep your existence going. For day number 9 now, fun and games, but what can you do?
Wow. Yeah, Mark from Hobart said he's gone through 80 gallons of fuel now, and he had his generator shut off for 8 to 10 hours the other day when it was kind of nice out, so he shut it down for a period of time, and he's gone through 80 gallons.
Yeah, I'm not even keeping track. I'm just keeping the receipts for when NIPSCO hopefully gets their head out of their ass and decides, oh, yeah, maybe we owe these people something.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, hey, I'm glad to hear at 7 o'clock you're going to have, how do I pronounce your last name, Barb? How do I correctly pronounce that? Regnitz. Having the Democratic Mervan killer that's going to be on, hopefully, and praise Allah and praise God.
Well, let me just note that I saw Frank Mervan last week at the press conference with Governor Braun. He was a little evasive. He finally, I spoke to him, and he said he was aware that I had invited him on the show, and thank you for the invite. So if you're wondering where Frank Mervan is or when he's coming on, he told me, he thanked me for the invite. So he said he was well aware that I'd left him messages, and that was it. So look. All I can say is it's kind of comical because this is a guy that's known me for a good portion of our lives, and he's literally you didn't see anybody else that was like running from me. I mean, he was avoiding me at all cost, and I just walked right up to him. I mean, I'm not intimidated by anybody, and I walked up to him and said, Frank, you know that I've invited you, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I did." And he was there. I don't know. The other thing is I know maybe his power was out because he was wearing pants that were about 4 inches too short and 4 sizes too small. But he just
like a good Pollock should, baby.
Yeah, well, I mean, he avoided me, and he finally we walked right up into each other, and I gave him the invitation. So if he doesn't want to come on, that's okay. That's his call. But we're going to take calls, even though it's going to be through my cell phone for Barb Regnitz, and you sound
good on the on YouTube. The volume and the sound quality itself sounds very good. So that's at least
yeah.
No, that's good. I'm not sure this is JOB's fault. I think it's a Verizon problem, right?
I think it is. Look, there have been numerous problems with the internet. They're all related, of course, to not having power, and so those companies are beholden to NIPSCO, just like you and I and everybody else.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, when your opening comments regarding all this just absolute insanity over in Gary. There's a website called Reddit. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with it. I only got hooked into it maybe a year ago. And basically what Reddit is, it's a place for commentary or exchanging ideas on anything on the planet.
Yeah, they have threads. They have threads on almost everything. I follow the thread about Menards, for example, because I'm fascinated by how many times Menards ends up being fined by the Department of Labor for poor treatment of their employees. So I follow that one. But go ahead.
Yeah, but they've got it on plumbing, on electricity, on toilets, on baseball cards, on how to get a tree off my roof, or billion different topics. But Gary and Northwest Indiana showed up on there quite a bit, and the number of people from Gary who think that they're justified by demanding NIPSCO get right back out there and take care of them, even though they shoot at the NIPSCO employees with virtually what would be considered attempted murder. I mean, these people in Gary are insane.
You know what?
I couldn't believe the video I saw of the Gary police chief actually trying to make an excuse for the shooters by saying, well, you know, they didn't know what that car was doing there, and it looked unfamiliar. And at the middle of the night, you know, why would anybody be there? Well, the car is white and had the word NIPSCO on the side of it. So even the third grader, probably at the age of like 25 in Gary, in the public school system over there, can read the word NIPSCO.
Look, I will give. Hold on.
They chose to shoot.
All right,
I will give NIPSCO on it.
I will give Mayor Melton, Eddie Melton, a lot of credit for putting out the statement that he did. Okay, he said there was no reason, there's no justification. He did a great job with his statement.
That's a great job. That's the minimum you should do. You should apologize
no, wait a minute.
First.
At the same time, what I don't understand are all these people who went to Facebook and Reddit from Gary who basically were saying that it was all made up. It wasn't a true story. Even after the mayor put out the statement, there were still people saying this is all false. None of it happened. This is racism. It's not racism. It's basically factual truth. There was a video. There were pictures. There was all of that. And the folks who want to claim racism are delusional. That's what they are. Hey, thanks so much.
There wasn't a public official, though, that came out and said, we want to catch these people and prosecute them.
Well, actually, Mayor Melton did say that. He said that we need to catch them.
Afterward, standing in front of a Lowe's that's not even in his town with his palms out please give us. Please, get out of here, man.
Well, all right. Hey, listen, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for the call. All right, folks, we're going to move on. I know we had 3 more people call. Again, we can only take 1 call at a time. I apologize for that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, 219-218-2735. Thank you.
Need clean energy without the junk? I'm Jim Diedlow. I used to live on burgers, football, basketball, baseball. Now I'm gluten-free and more into biking, golf, and yoga. But I still need energy. That's why I love Paradise, developed by Emily D. Edwards right here in Cherville. My favorite is Paradise Packs Strawberry with gluten-free pretzels. Find it soon at Strachan Van Til or at spreadparadise.com.
Free summer music is still rocking at Fox Point. Our Wednesday night concert series brings Trippin' Billies, the 1985, Elton Jeff and the Honky Cats, Mike and Joe, and Dick Diamond and the Dusters. Friday Night Lights brings you Gold Dust Dreams and One of These Nights on August 21st, and Mexico and El Corazon on September 4th. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094, and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for our full schedule. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Get ready for Wings Rock fun and prizes at Wing and Roll. Friday, September 25th from 5 to 9 at Bulldog Park Pavilion in Crown Point. Sample wings from Northwest Indiana's top chefs. Vote for the People's Choice. Enjoy live music from Backstory NWI and win incredible prizes. Tickets are $75 with tables of 8 for $575. Every dollar helps support Mental Health America of Northwest Indiana. Get your tickets now at mha.rallyup.com/WR 2026.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
All right, folks, we are back, and you're listening to the Morning Call on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. You can get us on the TuneIn app and YouTube Live. What you can't do is you can't call the regular phone lines to get us right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to call my cell phone at 219-218-2735, 219-218-2735. Call my cell, and you'll be able to we'll put you on the air that way. I apologize, but we can only take one call at a time on my cell. So don't get frustrated. Just call back if I don't answer right away. Don't leave me a message and be upset that, well, I'm trying to get a hold of the station, but I can't get a hold of you. Look, folks, I'm doing my best. I'm doing it through my own personal cell. Everything else is functioning fine. Our internet is working. Our YouTube live broadcast, our tune-in feed is no problem, but we are having a problem when it comes to the phone line. So we're going to do it through my cell phone. Don't forget at 7 a.m., Barb Regnitz, the Republican candidate for U.S. Congress, is going to be here live in the studio. She's going to be able to take your calls through 219-218-2735. And we will talk to Barb about her views on things, her stand on things, and you'll be able to ask her questions. And what we'll do is ask you to ask the question and then hang up for the answer. That'll probably be the best way we can do things. In the meantime, we've been talking about the power outages, obviously, and the growing frustration from a lot of people as it relates to NIPSCO. And again, I don't think anybody, I just saw a nice text message from Debbie Wargo, who said, we had extensive damage here in the Wicker Park area off of Ridge Road. We lost 5 huge trees. Our power returned last night, and a shout out to the hardworking utility guys. Absolutely. I'm not blaming anybody that works for NIPSCO in the linesman division, but I do blame NIPSCO leadership for basically not updating and keeping the NIPSCO power grid up to date. For years, it's been in shambles. For years, you drive down the street and you'd almost chuckle and laugh when you saw the utility poles listing one way or the other. I looked this up the other day. A ship will be prone to capsizing if it lists more than 30 degrees. The fact is that there are NIPSCO poles that are listing 30 degrees, and it's not an exception. It's almost the rule. You can find them all over the place where they're listing one way or the other. And guess what? When a wind blows, they fall down. And so we had some very powerful storms that knocked down a lot of those utility poles. In addition, NIPSCO does not use these little retainer rings like they use maybe down in Florida and some of the southern states that I've been to keep the lines from falling down. They basically, when you look at NIPSCO's utility stations, some of their transformers and some of their substations are as old as 1946. There's a lot to be said for updating equipment. They put up a bunch of really ugly poles throughout Northwest Indiana a few years ago and said, this is going to allow us to have better communication and better switching capacity. And then I noticed that I saw utility workers actually out at some of those poles last year during a storm. And I asked one of the guys, I said, I thought this was all electronic. And he laughed at me and said, yeah, well, it's electronic, but it doesn't work. And so they still had to go out and turn the switching gear manually. So that's problematic. And I think you have to blame NIPSCO for not keeping their system up to date. And then, of course, Mad Mac was talking about the situation in Gary. And again, I give great credit to Mayor Melton and to the administration by coming out and saying what happened was wrong. They put out a statement very quickly to try and silence some of the fools and idiots that live in Gary who are claiming that the problem basically was all made up and that it was all racism. But it's just ridiculous. And again, you can call us at 219-218-2735. Somebody just texted me and said, there's another problem, and that is clearing brush from around some of their lines, and that's absolutely true. We've had all kinds of rate increases. We've had all kinds of claims that they were going to improve infrastructure. In fact, Mark from Hobart just texted me and said they haven't upgraded anything. Okay, so all they do is slap Band-Aids on it. And it's absolutely true, and it's very frustrating to have power outage after power outage after power outage. Again, you go to other states, you go to Florida, and they have metal poles. Wow. And metal poles in Northwest Indiana is a given. We have the largest steel making capacity anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, right here in Northwest Indiana. But NIPSCO goes and puts up basically utility poles to replace the ones that went down with, let's face it, it's made of the same material as those trees that fell down in your front yard. So it to me, it's just ridiculous. So we've got a caller, and we're going to try and. Good morning. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
I called in last week, and I remember this time last week you were really stressing. Be calm. We're going to get through this. Yep. Gas station lines, and I seen a number of gas stations. There had to be cops there, police officers, just to control nutballs that were, causing problems.
Right.
And, things are easing up. I want to shout out to Strachan Van Til's. I visited 2 Strachan Van Til's, and upon leaving, they were offering me hot dogs, chips, water. They did a real good job. And
they did. And, I'm glad that you called, because you're right. There are some heroes in this. Home Depot did a great job. Shout out to the Hammond Home Depot especially. I mean, they were letting us know actually last week when they got supplies in. I was in the Hammond Home Depot on Sunday and could not believe the amount of supplies that they brought in from all over. They had all the aisles were somewhat blocked by the amount of stuff that they brought in, and people were still coming in and buying extension cords and generators and all those kinds of things, and they were extremely well stocked. They did a great job bringing stuff in from a distance. And you're right, Strachan Van Til was giving away hot dogs and chips and water and ice. Actually, I think in downtown Hammond they were giving away ice for people. They did a great job in responding. But at the same time, when you look at the situation and you look at the immensity, and again, there's no way we could avoid the damage that we had in many cases, but I will say that I believe that NIPSCO leadership deserves some blame when it comes to the lack of maintenance to their utility system. I mean, this has been going on for years. Every time the wind blows, they have power outages these days, and they've charged us a fortune. We have some of the highest utility rates in the nation. And what do we have to show for it? We have a system. That really is subpar compared to other areas of the nation.
I kind of live in a rural area, and a pole directly across the street from me, a tree came down, landed on wires. The wires stayed up, but the top of the pole snapped. The top 3 feet. And the pole snapped. And it finally got replaced Sunday. And I was out there, and all of the NIPSCO poles got tags on them. And I was told that pole was from 1955.
Okay, and that's older than you and I. Okay, and yes. Again, I get it. They have a very large distribution system, but so does every other utility in the nation. And to have a pole that was out there from 1955 is unacceptable. I mean, that's 71 years old. There shouldn't be a utility pole that is out there after 71 years. They should have, like you said, they have tags on every one of those poles. They know the numbers. So why not somebody, sit in an office and say, hey, let's update all of the poles that are more than 50 years old, for example, or put these clips on that they use in Florida to keep the lines from falling down, or basically planned obsolescence. I mean, if the idea that you've got a substation, and you were originally from Robertsdale, so you know exactly where I'm talking about. There's a substation on Indianapolis Boulevard, right just south of 5 Points. That substation was built in 1946. They're going to finally replace it next year, they claim. I mean, from 1946, that seems like a long, long time to have a substation that's, been sitting around that long and not replaced. Just, again, it's this kind of stuff that that is bothersome because we spend so much money on utility rates here, and we have for a long time, and we were told the money is being put into, renovate and, update our distribution system, and it hasn't been done.
Tom, one more thing I like to say.
Sure.
I had a doctor's appointment Monday in Munster, and it was right next to the community hospital. It's a satellite building, and they didn't have electricity. They gave me a heads up, and they said, we'd like you to come into the hospital. We got a suite there that we moved into temporarily. The parking garage was absolutely packed because the hospital, of course, had generators. But, they took care of me. They gave me a heads up and said, hey, come into the hospital instead of the usual building you go to. And that was nice. We're going to get through this.
Absolutely. We are going to get through it. And again, I think there have been some great, great efforts to help people out. Doctors' offices and Strachan Van Til and Home Depot and all the other entities that we've been talking about. I mean, they've been extremely helpful to customers and to residents and people in need. But, and again, I'm not faulting any linesman with NIPSCO or anybody else that's responded to this emergency, but I do fault NIPSCO leadership in not keeping that distribution system up to par. I mean, again, you mentioned you had a pole that was 70 years old, 71 years old, that snapped by you. And look, if you leave wood out for 71 years out in the elements, chances are by this point it needs to be replaced.
Well, Tom, I think you do a great job, and it's not all bad. You got to point out sometimes, give somebody a pat on the back that, hey, we're doing well.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate the call. Thanks so much. 219-218-2735. 219-218-2735 is the number to call to talk to us this morning. And again, in about 20 minutes, we're going to have Barb Regnitz here. And Barb is the Republican candidate for U.S. Congress. She's running against Frank Mrvan for the 1st District Congressional District. She is a Porter County Commissioner, so she's also going to be able to talk about the impact of the storm in her area. But I guess if there were a theme this morning, until Barb gets here, it is the fact that we have this, we have a system in Northwest Indiana that hasn't been updated in a long time. We've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Let me explain something about going down 12 and 20 through Gary, Indiana. Everybody's lost their power. Mm-hmm. Sunday, I had to go to Portage to pick up my youngest son and his wife, bring them to our house because Portage is devastated. They're it's just devastation out there. Mm-hmm. But 2 semi dumps, when I'm on my way going to Portage down 12 and 20 through Gary, which none of the lights are working, okay? 2 dump trucks, okay, flying down 1220, going through the lights, not stopping, okay? It's ridiculous, these CDL dump trucks going through there, okay? Coming back, I seen trees down and all this stuff and everything, It's kind of... I just feel so sorry for the people. The biggest thing is, okay, East Chicago had a lot of electricity out. Cleveland Cliffs, the old Inland Steel, and U.S. Steel and Gary. Has those 2 big steel industries helped or put any money out or did anything to help the residents from that city that these mills are in? That's the thing. But coming back, I see the same thing. Cars and trucks are running them stoplights. They're not stopping, because it's supposed to be a 4-way stop. So yesterday we had to go back out to Portage because I had to get so they can get some gas and all this stuff. And this dump truck, set of double dump trucks from Michigan, is coming behind me. As soon as I come up to the light where I'm stopping, I'm in the middle lane. He doesn't even stop. So I thought, okay, I'll solve this problem. I got in his lane, and I just did the speed limit. When I come up to the thing, I stopped. And he didn't like it because he had to stop behind me. But then all of a sudden we come up to Ohio Street.
Right. Well, Mike, can I interrupt you, because we've got other people trying to call in, and I think the point is that it's well taken, especially from you, being a lifelong trucker, that some of these people are not driving correctly. But we've got to kind of move on. I do want to point out that there is a slowdown on 8094 going eastbound. It starts all the way back to Klein Avenue now, and it runs just before you get to I-65. I'm not sure what the cause is, but there is a slowdown on eastbound 8094 from Klein Avenue down to about Broadway. Go ahead.
And one thing, if Paul's listening, Paul Goddard, okay, he put a message out. Because I used to come into that mill. I was a house truck where he works at. And there was a message put out that one of his workers were seriously hurt because of a coil in his mill. I'm just wondering if that person that was hurt at that place will work there when I used to be there, because it was like a family to me at where he worked at. I wonder if Paul could put a statement out that person's doing okay, because, it was like a family there. But just everybody, I'm mostly concerned because we'll get through all this situation. But when you're driving and you don't see a stoplight working, stop, because
it's a good point. Look, whether you see a stop sign there or not, I saw criticism, for example, and I think it was the city of Hammond that said there aren't stop signs at every single stoplight intersection that was out last week. Well, they're not going to create stop signs for every single intersection, because we've never basically endured something or experienced something like this. They did their very best. So whether there's a stop sign there or not, that there's a stoplight, it's out, you need to stop. Absolutely.
Just everybody be calm and cool. We'll get through this situation. And when you're driving your vehicle, just be very safe and courteous. I'm being very careful because somebody's impatient in front of me, fine, let them. But that's all I want to say is just... When you come up there, stop, because we need to get through this.
All right, we got it. Hey, Mike, thanks so much. 845-11. God, I keep on doing that. I'm so used to saying that. 219-218-2735. I did that actually the other day. After doing this kind of backward the last few days, somebody called me and I said, okay, you need to call me back, and I gave 845. They're like, what? Good morning, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Tom. I just wanted to point something out when you mentioned been talking about how old the infrastructure is, NIPSCO's infrastructure.
Yes.
That's an issue in the sense that we have lost a generation, at least, of people that know how to do that work. I'm not saying the linesmen and stuff that work for NIPSCO are incompetent, but through 30, 40, 50 years of things not being done, you have definitely lost a workforce that has the requisite skills to really do that.
That's a great point. It's a great point, and you're absolutely right. I spoke to a NIPSCO linesman about 3 years ago, and this was when that substation over by me went down because some idiot released a bunch of Mylar balloons, and they landed on the grid just outside the transformers, and he was picking them out, and power was out because of it. And he took a break, and I walked by and just asked him a couple of questions, and he said, the biggest problem is, and he was getting ready to retire, and he said, I know what happened to the station. I know how to get it back online. He said, but when I retire next year, there isn't going to be one person that knows this station as well as I. And he just kind of unloaded and talked to me for about 10 minutes and said, there are, all kinds of distribution issues that exist in Northwest Indiana. And you've had the same linesman for 30 years taking care of that sector. And when they retired, there's no one else to that has that kind of knowledge. You're absolutely right.
And unfortunately, I'll just make a more shouldn't generalize like this, but NIPSCO is no different than a lot of other places. It's really just a bunch of bean counters that are making a lot of the decisions. And the sad thing is, if you gave, in most instances, if you gave those bean counters all the tools needed to do a job, they would not have a clue how to do it. Yet they were going to be the first people to tell you that what you can do costs too much money.
No, you're right about that. Great points. Again, we want to celebrate all the great efforts that have been out there, but at the same time, I think we've got to take NIPSCO to task for their basically incompetent leadership over the years. You know, I still remember when their one CEO said that, you know, years ago he wanted NIPSCO to be more like Enron, and, you know, wrote a opinion piece in the Times of Northwest Indiana at the time, Gary Neal, and he wrote an opinion piece who said, you know, he said he was trying to migrate NIPSCO at the time to be more like Enron, and that was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before Enron just imploded as a company. Remember?
And my final and last observation is that most utilities today have gotten away from energy production, and they are really nothing more than a distributor.
They are, but here's what's interesting. When you go over the line into Illinois and you look at ComEd, or you go into southwestern Michigan and you look at their utility, or you go down to Indianapolis and look at their utility, they have invested very heavily in improving their distribution systems. And, you know, again, ComEd got hit by the storm just like us, but they were able to bring people back online much faster than NIPSCO did. And NIPSCO still has a lot of people that are out, and part of it is the fact that they've not invested in their distribution.
And I think it's kind of ironic that that's really where NIPSCO focused their energies, away from production and more on distribution. Yeah. And we see kind of what a horrible job they've done just based on one aspect of the business, which is the distribution of power, excuse me. And I will say on the Illinois side, and I know as the EPA, there's a lot of rules and regulations about what they could do and what they couldn't do. State line station gone, the station on Cermak gone, the station on Pulaski gone. Yep. The amount of energy that is not produced anymore, I think would blow people's minds. It used to be a ring around the city of Chicago of power plants, and they would have a peaker that would be a black start peaker. And they could start on diesel generators. If something happened and every coal burning plant went down, they could start up a black start plant with diesels, get generators going, feed state line, just as for an example, get state line powered up, get them back online, and then it just keep going around. And it was literally like a ring around the city of Chicago. That ring does not exist anymore. Those power plants do not exist anymore because they were dirty, nasty, horrible things to have. Nobody wanted them. And it's not just one thing, but I'll just come back to my main point is we have lost a generation, at least sometimes 2-3 generations of people that know how to do anything. And you don't have to be a genius. And for years it was frowned upon to get dirty and actually work with your hands. And everybody went to college and became bean counters to tell everybody else that knew how to get that substation back up and running that they were making too much money and they weren't worth it. And we don't need as many of you, and we're not going to double guys up and the young guys to learn from the older guys. And now we're all paying the cost to some degree. I'm not saying this is the exact reason this is happening, but I see it across so many different industries, Tom. It is scary that all of a sudden now it's cool to be working with your hands and be in the trades, if you will. And a lot of these kids got a lot to learn, and it's going to take them a long time to get there, as it did the generations before them. I'm not ripping on these kids, but nobody came out of the womb with a pair of pliers and wrenches in their hands knowing how to do everything. And it takes a long time to learn the skills that you really need. Look what happened. I didn't hear the whole story, but guys working on a substation, I guess NIPSCO guys for East Chicago, was it? I mean, mistakes are going to be made.
In East Chicago, and literally they backfed the system is what they did. And you're right. Okay, and that was in part because they didn't have the experience that you're talking about. So great points. Thank you so much for the call. Again, 219-218-2735. That's how we're taking calls right now. We're also getting plenty of text messages. So again, it is, by the way, our guests are out in front. So tell you what, why don't we take a quick break? And we've got MX. We're going to tell him to hold, and we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the morning call. Don't forget, Barb Regnitz is going to be on in just about 7 minutes, folks. So keep it tuned right here on the morning call on WJLB 1230 AM 104.7 FM. We'll be right back.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strachan Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
The best just got better. Tech Credit Union is proud to celebrate being recognized with Best of the Region, Best CEO, and Best Banker. To celebrate, we're offering 3 special CD offers with rates up to 4.5% APY for a limited time. Visit techcu.org or stop by your nearest Tech Credit Union branch or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union, the better option for people and communities we serve. Member NCUA. Minimum deposit required. Offer subject to change. Visit techcu.org for complete details.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself for a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
All right, we are back, and we have MX has been kind enough to hold. Good morning, MX.
Good morning, Tom. I just want to tell. Oh, I got to take this off a speakerphone. Hold on. I just want to tell Bob Reglitz good luck, and I'll give her the link where Frank Mervyn watered down what Trump had done for us, and Biden. Not Biden, what Trump had done, and gave us Trans-Pacific.
Well, you know what, MX, I want to give you the chance to call back and ask Barb. Okay, so I want you to call back in about 5 minutes. I want you to call back and ask Barb directly, as we get her set up to go on live. In the meantime, though, you said
can I talk about NIPSCO?
Yeah, you wanted to talk about NIPSCO. Let's do that, and then let's have you. I'll tell you what. In fact, if you're willing to, I'll just put you on hold since it's my phone. I'll put you on hold for a second. We'll get Barb set back up, and then you can ask the first question of Barb Regnitz. How about that?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
As you know, I was a lineman for Inland Steel with their towers. In 1983, they had a program called preventative maintenance. And what that meant is people would, in our crew would go around and inspect towers, and we would start to work on them. So what happens with these towers, especially the wooden poles? The wooden poles get soaked with water. Now there's an insulator between the wire and the wooden pole. When that insulator gets dirty that voltage from that wire tracks down that insulator, porcelain insulator, and goes down that pole and grounds out. I want to say thanks to all the linemen. This isn't their fault. But I have poles in the alley that are rotted through. And for some reason, NIPSCO doesn't have a preventative maintenance program. That means you can't have trees hanging over power lines and expect them not to snap. So, and another thing too, you can't have a giveaway program or people plant trees in an easement, and in the same easement, you have a NIPSCO telephone pole. Hammond Code Enforcement should stop that.
Well, but again, it's the responsibility of NIPSCO. But it's the responsibility of NIPSCO to maintain their easements. It's the responsibility of NIPSCO to do all the things that you and I and others have been talking about this morning, and they haven't been doing it. And you're paying unbelievably high fees for NIPSCO to do the things that they claim they were doing, and now it's very obvious that they never did any of it. And that's the tragedy of this storm. The fact that people are without power, the fact that people lost trees and lost roofs and lost their homes, those are things that again, you can blame on Mother Nature. What you can't blame on Mother Nature, what you have to blame on NIPSCO is the fact that their system is so archaic that it's going to take weeks in some cases to bring back. And that we still have power outages that in some cases are growing instead of being reduced, like the ones that occurred in East Chicago and Whiting yesterday. Those are situations that you have to blame on NIPSCO and their leadership, and they've been incompetent.
Yes, very much so. Even without the wind, if you have a rain for 2 days, just like I said, and that pole gets soaked, and the insulators are dirty, it will track down that insulator and it will ground out. In the preventative maintenance program, tower gang that I was in, we would get hundreds and hundreds of insulators and go from tower to tower and change the old brown insulators out to, they're kind of like a gray insulator. And I bet you all around you can still find brown insulators that are dirty. They also used to sandblast them with corn cob to get the dirt out of them. But they had found out it's just easier to change the insulators than to come around and sandblast them with corn cob. Now, Barb, my name is MX. I'm a local 10 steel worker. I hired in 1975, August 26th. And I'm 51 years into Local 1010. Now, as you know, the only person that helped us, I've got videos of Leo Gerard saying, we've waited for 30 years to do something. And when Trump got in, he promised Trans-Pacific Partnership. On the first day, he kept his promise to the steelworkers. Now, when Biden and Frank Mervan got in, the article is October 2020. The day would be the 21st of October 2020 on Fox Business. Biden gives our jobs to the European Union. Biden plus and Mervyn supported it.
MX, you got to ask, but you got to ask a question and then hang up so that Barb has time to talk.
Real quick. Biden gave our jobs to the European Union along with Frank Mervyn over the Trans-Pacific climate plan. I just want her to know the information so when she goes to bat, we steelworkers need somebody like Barb in there, because Frank Mervyn, what he done to the steelworkers is not good. And I'm going to let you go, Barb. And good luck. Thank you very much for letting me talk.
All right. Thanks so much, MX. Well, good morning, Barb. We'll get to MX's comment, but first want to give you a chance to introduce yourself to listeners and viewers this morning.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to find out what's on the minds of your listeners and the things that concern them the most. And it sounds like NIPSCO is on the minds of a lot of people right now.
Yeah, and you're a Porter County commissioner. So
I'm a Porter County commissioner.
Tell people a little bit about your background. And Mont, if you can just hold on a few minutes, we've got. I'm going to put you on hold, but I want to give Barb a chance to introduce herself, Mont. So just hold on a second. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, real briefly, I'm originally from Wisconsin. Grew up in a little tiny town northwest of Milwaukee. Oldest of 10 kids. My dad had his own business, and we had to work for everything growing up. And all of us kids had jobs, and we all ended up going to college, all working our way through college. But what brought me to my first job was in Illinois, United Airlines. I got a job with them, and I got to work on some really, really cool automation stuff that everybody takes for granted today. But like the bag tag printers, the ticket printers, the boarding pass readers at the jetway door, those were some of my projects. And then after that, I was a financial advisor and certified financial planner. I started my business from scratch. I worked 80-hour work weeks until after about 5 years, I finally felt like I had built up enough traction that I could kind of cut back. And I sold my practice after 16 years and decided that I just was going to grow vegetables here in Valparaiso, Indiana, and be a full-time volunteer. And then COVID hit in 2021, and just like your caller was talking about, nobody standing up for the steel workers, I saw that nobody was standing up for the business owners when their businesses were being shut down. And I said, okay, that's a line in the sand that can't be crossed, and I decided to run for county commissioner. I'm in my 4th year as a county commissioner right now, and I'm excited to now be running for Congress and fight for the people just like I've been fighting for the people.
Well, we want to talk about issues, but I want to give Mont Hanley a chance to. Mont, you're on with Barb Regnitz. If you have a question for Barb, we'll be glad to have you ask that question. And if you can hang up and let her respond.
Sure. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Barb. Barb, I was a 2020 Republican primary candidate for the position that you're running for, and I wish you a lot of luck, and you have one vote from me already. But I want to ask about an issue that came out last week. To me, in my mind, it ties in with how local media is really helping protect NIPSCO's, due diligence here and everything they've done. I don't think anybody's calling them out. That they should be called out. But this is a topic that came up during COVID, which you just brought up, and it was Dr. Fauci lying about miscarriages. Lying about the statistics, saying that there weren't any, red flags, but yet finding out that there was an 86% miscarriage rate among women who were taking this COVID vaccine within the first 3 months of pregnancy. I'd like to know what you want to do to Dr. Fauci if you are elected to Congress.
All right. Thank you, Mike. All right.
Well, I don't know if my answer would be suitable for on air, but I think it's just terrible. I think it is terrible. Having been through a number of miscarriages myself, it is heartbreaking when you lose your child, when you're pregnant and you're so looking forward to giving birth. And I don't know that there's a punishment big enough for him.
Okay, very good. 219-218-2735, and you are on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. Ask your question, then you're going to have to hang up so that Barb can answer, okay?
Yes, Barb, I was wondering during this past storm if you and your Republican Party celebrated the Democrats being in worse condition than Republicans, like you did at the Highland Festival.
Okay. I'm not totally sure what he meant by that, but I guess he... You have any answer for that one? Not sure what that was. I think that was just a dig, so we'll move on. Let me ask you a question. When I sit here and when others sit here, we hear a lot of frustration from a lot of voters that there's a disconnect.
Absolutely.
Between their views and how they're being represented.
I absolutely agree, and that is why I'm running. I do not feel that the people are represented in Congress from this district. They just aren't. And I want to change that. There's so many concerns that people have. I mean, their NIPSCO bills are just out of sight right now. And, we're talking about having boys and girls sports, boys and girls restrooms. I mean, that is just crazy talk.
Well, it is, and it's crazy because when you look at polls, 90 to 95% of all people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, all say that it's wrong. Yet there was a bill in Congress that, again, Frank Mervan voted against, which was to ban men and women's sports and men and women's bathrooms, and he voted for it, or voted against banning it, I should say.
And that was the fourth time he voted against it, and I think people are taking crazy pills right now that they think that men and women are biologically the same. They're just absolutely not. There's no way that you can change their biology, and it's just not fair to women.
So you said that you're running because you feel that there's a need for representation. So tell listeners and viewers what you want to accomplish.
I'll tell you one of the big things. First of all, I am not a politician. Absolutely not. And so I'm not going to go to Congress and try to figure out how to make people happy. I want to make sure that the people of this district are represented. And I think with my financial background, I want people to feel like they're prosperous again, like the American dream is alive and well. And what concerns me is that so many people have given up hope and they're just worried about the price of eggs. And I want people to be thinking about their kids' weddings, their kids' college, their own retirement. And right now they're focused on just a short window of affordability.
And we've got another caller. Good morning. If you could ask your question and then hang up, Barb will answer.
We have a congressman now that is more like Ocasio-Cortez from New York. Although you're originally from Wisconsin, you're a real Hoosier. Let me ask the question. What will, as congressman, what would be your top three priorities from a legislative point of view? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I will tell you my number one priority is when I get a phone call from President Trump congratulating me on my win, I'm going to ask him to help me get those 800 workers who've been locked out of the BP plant back to work. That will be my number one priority.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute because BP Oil has been on strike now for over 5 months. You've got a lot of individuals that are being hurt, and we're still doing this, right, Lynette? We're still using my phone? Okay. We've got people that are out of work. Okay, caller, hold on a second. Just hold on. All right, we've got people that are out of work for months now at a time when gas prices are high. And so you said you're going to reach out to President Trump to try and weigh in.
Absolutely. And on November 3rd, when he calls to congratulate me on my win, I want to make sure that I get in his ear from the second that I am in Congress.
Let's take this caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Ask your question, and then we've got to move on. Okay?
Yeah, I had a question. Do you know what Frank Mervan, how he voted on the acceptance of the 2027 NDAA that will meld the Israeli Defense Forces in with our military? This is unprecedented. There's never been anything like this before. And this is a country that actually more than half the time acts like an adversary instead of an ally. How did he vote on that?
All right, we'll hang up and we'll answer the question. So I think the question basically has to do with our relationship with Israel. And in this case, the caller is right. There's a proposal that they would basically be fully integrated into the U.S. Armed Forces.
From what I understand, and you have to realize I'm just an average person looking at this from the outside. I have no intelligence whatsoever. But from what I understand, there was a kind of a misconception that we were giving up control of our military and that Israel was going to be controlling our military. We do have to realize that Israel is the only country in the Middle East that has Western values, and everybody else they're Islamic extremists, and we need an ally in the Middle East to help us. and protect our Western interests. So I am not exactly sure how Frank Mervan did vote on that particular bill. We could certainly look that up and answer the caller.
Getting back to your reasons for running, people, as you can tell, just being a Porter County commissioner, people are pretty disenfranchised with government these days.
They really are.
They're upset. They feel that government is representing, government and not the people. So let me ask you a question that somebody had texted me last night and said, where does Barb Regnitz stand on insider trading? You were a financial planner.
Oh, my gosh.
So talk about insider trading as a member of Congress.
Well, it absolutely should not be allowed. They have every bit of information that they possibly need to make favorable trades. It is probably the most unfair practice that is allowed. And I do know how Frank Mervan voted on that. He did vote against the ban on insider trading. So that absolutely cannot be allowed.
If you were in office, you would vote for the ban.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. I think this is where a lot of people become disenfranchised by their representation in Washington, because you've got Nancy Pelosi, whose husband just happened to always have the best the best handle on what was going on with the stock market and amassed a fortune of $250 million now.
It's hundreds of millions of dollars.
And you look at it and you say, like, how could that possibly be?
Oh, it can't.
So again, so you take a stand on insider trading. Had another person who texted me and said, what about would you? I think this is a bit of a softball, but I'll ask it. Would you stand for kids who survived cancer during presidential addresses?
100%. Oh my gosh. And I would have stood when they said it's the job of the American, legislators to protect American citizens over illegal immigrants. I would have stood for that too.
People are, of course, they're interested in getting to know who you are, because the first district congressional district has been held by a Democrat now for, I believe, 100 years. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, 4 years ago, Jennifer Ruth Green ran. She came within 4 percentage points of beating Frank Mervan. And now you're running. And you bring a lot to the table politically, because you're very well known in Porter County.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And in the past, candidates running for Congress as a Republican didn't have the Republican base, but you do.
Right.
Okay.
Very true.
So for people who live in the north end of Lake County, which is largely Democratic,
right.
People want to know, how are you going to represent them? Because they don't want to be disenfranchised. They want to make sure that they're being represented.
Absolutely, 100%. And, Gary, Indiana used to be a premier city in the world. I would love, love, love it. I would love to be able to restore its past glory. And it's just critical that we figure out how to bring jobs, opportunities to that part of Lake County. And it shouldn't be the way it is. I don't know why it is the way it is. It shouldn't be that way. I think we need to do everything we possibly can to restore jobs and opportunities in the north part of Lake County.
Again, if you want to ask Barb Regnitz a question, please call 219-218-2735. Okay, you're calling my cell. I can only take one call at a time, folks. Everything is working fine at the station except their phones, of course. So that's how you're going to ask Barb a question. 219-218-2735. We'll hold the phone up to the speaker. You'll ask the question, hang up, and then she'll answer the question. You bring up economic development, and so part of the responsibility of being a congressman is to bring that kind of economic development. But we've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Ask your question, then we're going to hang up and let Barb answer.
A question and then a comment, real quick. Ms. Regnitz, do you have a problem identifying what a woman is?
I have absolutely no problem identifying what a woman is.
Okay, Tom, Ms. Regnitz, this NIPSCO outage is a perfect photo op for Frank Mervan, and he's doing everything he can to get his photo taken with the NIPSCO outage. You are fighting an uphill battle against this guy because people like Jamie, once again, are fooled by him and the snake oil salesman that he is. I wish you the best. Let everybody know where your next gathering and fundraiser is, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the call. Again, going back to the discussion before, you've got people in North Lake County, largely Democrat. Right. So on November 3rd, you get elected. Congratulations. Now, how do you tell the people in North Lake County, tell the people throughout Lake County and Porter County and part of LaPorte County that don't vote against you, how you're going to represent them?
Well, I would love to meet with them in person, but I'd also like to do regular town halls quarterly. So I have an opportunity to speak directly to the people. When I was running for commissioner, I knocked on 11,000 doors myself, and I had an opportunity to talk to people, hear their concerns. That's what I love about being in office. Not the political aspects of it, but the public service aspects of it.
We've got a text message. Would you be willing to debate Frank Mervan?
Oh, I would, but he will never be willing to debate me.
Well, and just as a clarification, and the person also asked the question, when are you going to have Frank Mervan on? As I said before, I've asked Frank Mervan, just as I've asked you, to come on the radio. When I asked you, you said, you're very polite, and you said, yes, Tom, I'd love to come on the program. I'd love to talk to people and answer questions and take calls. I've asked Mervan the same thing. He says he's thinking about it. When I saw him last week in person, he said, I'm thinking about it. So there is the answer to that question. But you'd be willing to debate him if there was an opportunity.
Absolutely.
When you look at your role as becoming a congresswoman, and again, representing a very diverse district, we have a lot of issues when it comes to the fact that we have wealthy communities, poor communities. When I say diversity, I'm not talking about skin color. Okay, we have that as well. We have great diversity in Northwest Indiana, but the needs for an individual who say lives in a wealthy subdivision versus someone who's just trying to live paycheck to paycheck are vastly different. What can you do as a member of Congress to help support those who basically haven't had the opportunity to be as successful as some others?
Well, I'm a great listener. As a financial advisor, that's what I did. I sat down with my clients and I understood what their financial concerns were. As a commissioner, I sat down and understood what the residents' concerns are, and I still do that today. And that's what I will do with those community leaders and understand what their concerns are. I pride myself on being a problem solver and being able to think outside of the box. So many times people are just looking at what has been done in the past and they can't see a solution because they're just looking at what is known. We need to explore all sorts of options and opportunities to help revitalize those areas.
And I'm going to ask this question, then we're going to go to a break. But the question is, what about outreach to local officials? Of course, you're a local official yourself,
yeah.
But what kind of reassurance can you give local officials, many of whom again have worked with Frank Mervan for a long time, and they're concerned about, well, if there's a change, are you going to have that relationship with local officials that Mervan has?
100%.
All right, let's go to a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Call on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. We're on the TuneIn app. We're on YouTube Live. The only problem is with the phones. We're having a phone problem, so we're doing it old-fashioned. We're having you call my cell, 219-218-2735. We'll patch you through. You'll ask your question and then have to hang up to listen to Barb's answer. We'll be right back after these commercial announcements.
I'm Pastor Eric Boone, pastor of the Tree of Life Church here in the great city of Gary, Indiana. The Notre Dame Credit Union. Go beyond and above to make sure that we are in position to make that greater impact. Listen, this credit union is one of a kind. And I'm looking forward to the future because I know that we will continue to do greater things together, and I'm forever grateful for a credit union like this.
Visit NotreDameFCU.com.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
All right, folks, we're back. Hey, you know what? People are really coming up with some great ways to communicate this morning. Now, you can call my cell and ask Barb a question directly, 219-218-2735. But we have a bunch of text messages, and let me give you the first one. Does Barb support unions?
100%. And we very much appreciate the work that our union laborers have done on our construction projects in Porter County. Their apprentice program and the caliber and the quality of work that has been done all throughout our buildings has been just absolutely stellar.
And the additional question is, do you support the USW 7-1 and their lockout against BP?
I believe that those locked out workers need to get back to work ASAP. They are not politicians. They're not getting paid. Everybody else is getting paid during this lockout. And unfortunately, they are the victims of whatever is going on between the union management and the BP management. All
right. And then somebody asked if I'd be willing to host a debate between you and Frank. Sure, I would. Next question. Is Barb an Indiana Fever fan? And I did not write this question, folks, myself. So just they all know where I stand, but they want to know if you're a Fever fan.
Oh, I am a Fever fan. Oh my gosh, very exciting, so fun to watch them.
Yeah, it's a fun team to watch. And I mentioned to you during the break, my dog is actually named Sophie Cunningham because she is tall, attractive, and long-legged. So my wife said we'll name her Sophie Cunningham, my favorite player, who had 13 points last night, had a great game. Hey, Tom, it's Bill from Lowell. Can you ask the question, is she America first over other countries? And talk about your views about America first.
I am absolutely America first. It's, when you travel on a plane, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before you help other passengers. And I think we need to be doing the same thing. We need to be taking care of the people in this country first before we can ever be willing to help people in other countries. And we're a very, very generous country here, but we need to be taking care of the people that are hurting here first.
Next question is, what are your views on immigration?
It needs to be legal, and we need to make sure that it is based on need in this country and that it is sensible and sane. And right now, we need to make sure that anything that's illegal happening is stopped at the border right now.
So the border has been tightened down. The border is secure, but you're saying that basically we need to revamp our immigration system.
We do.
Yeah,
We do.
I mean, again, you brought up something interesting, which is immigration was designed basically to bring people into the United States to allow people that would benefit the United States.
Absolutely.
Okay? And our system is so archaic. I think the last time it was updated was under Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And Ronald Reagan said even then that they were fixing. It wasn't a permanent fix to the immigration system. And of course, here we are, 40-some years later, and that's the only fix we've had.
Tom, and I might be misremembering, but it seems to me back in the day that every immigrant would have to have a sponsor who was responsible for them. And if they weren't earning a living, then they had to support them. And right now people are coming in and they're expecting our taxpayers to support them, and that's certainly not right.
Okay, now we've got a serious question and an absolute crazy one, but I'll ask the crazy one first. Is she a Star Wars fan or Star Trek fan?
Can I say both?
There you go. You can say whatever you want. All right, so there's the answer. Next question. What is her view on the war with Iran?
Okay. I know this is so controversial, and you have to realize I'm just like everybody else. I do not have access to any information above and beyond what you have, Tom, or what your listeners have. But for 47 years, we have had Islamic terrorists running that country, and they do not like us, and they will do anything they can to destroy our country. So they cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't, because then we're going to start having a nuclear conflict in the Middle East, and I don't think anybody wants that. So we need to solve that problem. We need to make sure that they can't develop a nuclear weapon.
All right, next question. Can you ask her if she regrets what she did at the Highland Festival, posting and making fun of the Democrats when their tent blew away during a storm?
Well, obviously, it was a comparison about the chaos in the Democrat Party versus the stability in the Republican Party. I must have struck a nerve. And if I were a supporter of Frank Mervan's policy, I'd be focusing on tents as well.
Okay, this is from Mad Mac, who's a regular caller.
Okay.
But the question for Barb is, should Tom Dabertin be allowed to play in the WNBA?
I would love that.
I would not. No, seriously. Of course, his point is about men and women's sports. I think, being a fellow Fever fan, I think the issue that Sophie Cunningham raised was that men didn't belong in women's sports, and
they don't.
Two retired NBA players are now kind of pushing the envelope on that one by saying, okay, if you're going to say transgender men are welcome in women's sports, then what about us? And they're both claiming now that they're going to declare themselves transgender and play.
Yeah. And I love the fact that they're bringing attention to it, because it is very, very unfair to have men competing in women's sports. Very unfair. Let men compete in men's sports. Let women compete in women's sports.
And you actually were an athlete in college.
Yes, I was.
You were at
Purdue.
At Purdue, and I mentioned my brother was a sprinter at IU Bloomington. And there are differences between men and women.
Absolutely. And so when I was at Purdue, and I'm dating myself, they had just passed Title IX. And Purdue decided that they were going to start a women's track team. And so I ran the 440 and the 220, the 440, and I was on the 880 medley.
Oh, my gosh, you ran those same. You ran the same at IU. And again, it was, I remember Title IX. I was in high school at the time, and I thought it was wonderful that girls were able to play organized sports,
right.
And this idea now that we're undermining the very advances and accomplishments that we made.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. Okay, we have Here's another crazy one. Is she a Colts fan, a Bears fan, or a Packers fan?
Oh, my
Yes.
gosh. Well, I'm going to make somebody mad if I say so. I will tell you that my family that still lives in Wisconsin, they are Packer fans. I have a daughter who lives in Chicago, and she's a Bears fan. So I guess, and I don't know anything about the Colts.
Okay, so the follow-up question is from another person. Will you support the Bears moving to Hammond?
You betcha.
There you go. That was quick enough. Should we have term limits for Congress?
Well, it depends on what term you're talking about when you're talking about a term. So right now, the term limits, they're talking about 2 terms for the Senate and 2 terms for Congress. That means 12 years for the Senate and only 4 years for Congress. I think 4 years in Congress is just way too short. There's just too much turnover, too much turmoil. You just get in, you just finally figure out what's going on, and then you're out.
But would you be willing to consider some sort of term?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we have a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Barb, can you hear me?
Yes.
She can hear you.
That ignorant tent question was by Jamie, who's been spoon-fed by his mother-in-law all his life and never had a real job. You are exactly right on the chance of death to America. They don't like us. They want us to change to their way of life, and it's coming through the Democratic Socialists. So ignore people like Jamie that don't have real jobs and don't understand the threat that Islam is to our country. I thank you for taking a stand against them and standing up for the United States citizens. God bless America.
God bless America. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Now, here's another question. So you've got, again, you become a member of Congress.
Yes.
All right. And part of the problem that's driving a lot of people nuts these days, I think with politics, is it's become so partisan. Are you willing to work across the aisle? Are you willing to work with the Democrats?
Absolutely. And you know what, Tom? I thought when I became a commissioner that I was going to be able to tell who the Democrats were and who the Republicans were. You can't. When everybody's working together, trying to solve problems and get things done, then it's not partisan anymore. It's about getting the job done. And the other thing is, I don't need to take credit. And a lot of people need to take credit for things. That's just how they're wired. I like to lead from within instead of leading from the front. And when I show that I'm willing to roll up my sleeves, do the hard work, bring people along, find consensus, and make a huge difference and let other people get the credit for it, I think we're going to be able to accomplish a lot more than is being accomplished today.
And again, if you want to send me a question, unless it's just totally something that I can't say over the air, I'll ask it. So here is another question. What does Barb think about SB 1 and how it affects our local schools and government?
Are you so you're talking about SEA 1 and how that has affected the financing here?
Yes.
And it really has. It's kind of thrown us for a loop, and it's going to take a couple of years before the municipalities can actually pass a local income tax of their own. And in the meantime, there's going to be a funding gap. I, as a Porter County Commissioner, am not responsible for the fiscal responsibilities of the county. That's really our county council. And I know that they are studying that and looking at absolutely what is best for the community. They take it very, very seriously.
Yeah, and so not every idea is a great idea, no matter what party it comes from.
Right, exactly.
All right, go ahead. You're on the air. You can ask your question.
Hey, Barb, I was born and raised in Chicago, but live in Indiana now. I'm going to vote for you as many times as possible, just like in the history of Democratic Chicago. But where can we go to sign up to volunteer to help you in your campaign, for anything you want, distribute literature or, help set up for your campaign rallies or whatever it may be? Where can we sign up to participate?
You can go to my website, barbregnesforcongress.com. and click on the volunteer button.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. We have another text question. Good question, this one. some of these are pretty funny, and I'll ask them. But these are some fairly funny questions. But this one says, "What is her stand on support of the police, and what is your position on ICE?"
I am very supportive of law enforcement. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think Democrats and Republicans, they care about safe streets, safe communities. And they should care that we have the proper funding of the police officers so that we can ensure their safety. ICE is there to remove dangerous illegal immigrants. They are murderers, rapists, drug dealers, and they are being protected in our sanctuary cities. They are not making those communities safe. They do need to be removed from those communities.
So at the same time, I guess there's a follow-up that I could ask on that one, which is there's been criticism that ICE has just been focused on just rounding up anybody. And so you're saying the focus should be on the criminal element?
Absolutely. And I believe that's what it has been. I am not sure that the mainstream media has been portraying ICE in that light, but they are in a very, very, when they're going after such dangerous criminals, they're in a very dangerous situation themselves. So we need to support them and make sure they have the tools to do their job.
All right. You know what? I'm not going to ask her, but this is I'll just acknowledge that you sent this text, but somebody asked if you have any pants that are 4 inches too tall, too short, and 4 sizes too small, and would you wear them in public? That was a shot at a comment that I made earlier about Frank Mervan. So don't answer that. But I want people to know I'm being fair. I'm reading all your questions. Okay. Can we talk about the fact that we are days away from hitting a $40 trillion debt? Both parties are responsible. Much of that debt falls at the feet of Donald Trump. What would you do to propose that we fix our growing debt?
So first and foremost, debt is debilitating. $40 trillion, most people can't even comprehend how massive that is. We have got to get our reckless spending under control. We have to get the fraudulent spending under control. We have to get the wasteful spending under control.
Well, that's interesting, because it was just going to ask, would you support efforts similar to the DOGE efforts?
Oh, absolutely. And I even have talked to Tim Burchett, who's the head of the DOGE committee, to see if I could get on that committee. So I'd love to be on it.
You know, when you look at the federal government, you look at the enormity, okay, and the immense operation that exists. It's the largest employer in the United States. We found out, possibly the hard way, that so many countries depend upon U.S. aid, giving them aid for everything, including transgender Sesame Street. But we won't go into that one. But how do you, as a member of Congress, I guess, make a difference when it comes to you said you want to get on the DOGE committee, for example, okay, yeah, which is a good start.
Yeah.
But for example, being a financial analyst, there's an approach that some businesses use, which is called zero-based budgeting,
yeah,
where you go in and you basically start fresh. I mean, are you willing to look at those kinds of approaches?
Absolutely. And you know what I think, and this is what I say, and things that I learned being a financial advisor is I understand money. I understand investments, and I understand smart spending. And I've been saying that to some of the congressional members I've been talking to, and they go, well, hardly anybody here understands money, investments, or smart spending. And we have got to do a much, much better job. Spending, yes, but it has to be smart spending. And I think that the majority of our spending isn't smart spending. So we have to change that entire dynamic.
Would you have supported the tax cuts that were adopted?
Absolutely. They were for working families. Those were working family tax cuts. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. Those two alone in this district they're significant. They're significant tax breaks for a number of people in this district.
Well, since I qualified for one, I'll throw in the addition, which is no tax on Social Security.
And no tax on Social Security.
I mean, that was a huge benefit to me. I don't know that you can answer this one, but do you like Munster donuts? Whatever.
You know what? Okay, so I am a very healthy eater, but I have had a Monster donut in there.
All right. Well, they are very good. They are very good. And the follow up, your cars never hit Munster Donuts because, of course, Munster Donuts gets hit by a car about every other week. Getting back to serious things. Again, folks, you want to ask the questions, I'll ask them. Somebody said you're not willing to ask this question, so I'll ask. You send it to me, I'll ask the question. When you look at the biggest issues that you feel are facing this country, what are they?
Well, like I said before, I think so many people in this country have lost hope. They don't have the wherewithal. They feel so downtrodden and tired because they're just working to make ends meet. We have to change that dynamic. And one of the things that I want to do, Tom, is first of all, we change that dynamic by creating job opportunities, by reducing the waste, fraud, and abuse. And the debt service on that $40 trillion is significant, and a good chunk of your taxes that you're paying is going towards that. If we can reduce that, you're going to have more money at the end of the day. But we have to provide financial literacy for kids. They have to start understanding money, investments, and smart spending in kindergarten, even all through high school.
This couple of questions here has to do. The first one has to do with the Affordable Care Act. Okay?
Yes.
And I have spoken many times, and the person basically is saying, why don't you ask her about the Affordable Care Act since you know so much about it? And I do know quite a bit about it. The Affordable Care Act is not perfect by any means. Should it be repealed, replaced, or fixed?
I think it should be completely replaced. I knew that was going to be a disaster when they were voting on it. I was paying attention back when they were first contemplating passing that, and I was so sorry when that actually got passed. Who's making out like a bandit? It's the insurance companies and the poor people that are trying to get health care. It's so expensive, and they're not even getting quality health care, so it needs to be replaced.
And this is a question for me, but the part of the problem with the Affordable Care Act is we're giving subsidies to the insurance companies. Would you be willing, for example, to give those subsidies to individuals that need those subsidies instead of it going to the insurance companies?
Well, that's where it should be going. Absolutely.
Do you next question is what about your stand on Social Security and Medicare?
Those, we absolutely have to support them. And you know what? And it would be really unfair for the people who have paid into those systems all throughout their working careers for those benefits not to be available for them. That was a promise to those American people who were paying into Social Security, paying into Medicare all throughout their working days. And that's a promise to them, and we have to keep that promise.
Social Security is going to run out of money supposedly in 2030. Once again, it's a plan that needs work, needs to be fixed. How do you fix Social Security?
That's a really good question, and it needs somebody who can think outside of the box and who's a problem solver. And when I get to Congress, that's one of the problems I will work on, and I will make sure that does get fixed. And I can promise everybody that will get fixed.
All right. Has Barb answered a political courage test?
Political courage test.
You're not sure what this one is about, but it's asking the question, so I'll try and respond to that one. I'm not sure what that means. Okay.
If you're talking about being courageous to stand up for the people in this district, I am that courageous. I am like Sophie Cunningham. I am a fighter. I am a warrior. And I am not running for Congress to run for re-election. Then you're going to just play it safe when you're in Congress. You're not going to work hard for the people. I'm always going to remember why I'm in Congress and who put me there. And I'm going to make sure that I defend them and I defend their values and what they care about and what they need. And not only that, this is the other promise. I promise that I'm going to bring back more money to our district than anybody from District 1 has ever brought back to the district.
This one is about energy generation. So we were talking earlier before you came on today about the fact that there have been so many utility companies who have focused on distribution instead of energy production, and that there's a shortage. Would you support, first off, package nuclear power generators?
I think we need to take a look at it.
Okay.
And I would really like to see if there's some way we can have competition in that area instead of just giving it to like an IPSCO and saying, hey, here, you guys figure it out, because I'm not sure they have a good track record on figuring out energy production. So I'd like to make sure that we have the best and the brightest. Why can't we talk to Elon Musk? I'll go talk to Elon. I'll see if he has any ideas for us.
Okay. And then it said, do you support solar power and wind power generation?
I do not like either.
Okay. And you want to explain why?
Well, I just remember, I just don't think it's a very efficient means of energy production. If you take a look at the amount of energy that it takes to create just one blade for a windmill, it takes more energy for that one blade than that windmill is going to generate its entire lifetime.
Yeah, and by the way, I drove up I-65 Sunday, drove down and drove back to Indianapolis, and I noticed that they're replacing a lot of those blades. And I've read the same claims that it takes more energy to produce the materials involved in creating a wind generation unit than it will ever produce as far as energy. So, would you support the continued use of coal energy?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Until we have an alternative, that is our best bet right now.
I'm trying to make sure, folks, as you're asking all these questions, again, 219-218-2735, 219-218-2735. And I understand somebody just texted me and said, hey, Tom, what number should I call if I want to ask a question? But that's okay. So, yes, you're calling my cell this morning. So there is the question. Okay, and then there's one here that says, okay. So the question is, are you willing to stand up to Donald Trump or just follow him blindly, just like the people who followed Biden blindly after the 2020 election?
Well, you don't know me very well. I don't follow anyone blindly. And I am all about representing the people, not special interests, not the party. And it's really about doing what's right. In my entire life, it's do the right thing. Do the right thing, and that's what I'll be doing.
Somebody follow up to an earlier comment that you made, which is that you can't tell the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Can you talk about cooperation, bipartisan cooperation as a county commissioner?
Well, we had a couple of Democrats on our county council, and I absolutely worked with them. We were on different committees together. We were on different boards together. We had a Democrat, and we still do, Democrat county attorney. So everybody working together to solve problems. You really don't notice it. Only during election time do you notice the partisanship.
Well, and I have to say, I think part of the reason why Porter County has been so successful in recent years is there really is great cooperation. Okay, there are some Democrats. I know some Democrats. I know some Democratic members of the county council, and they work well together with the Republicans, and so that's worked very well. We'll ask you this question, and then we'll go to a break, and we're going to come back, and if you're willing to stay for a few more minutes,
sure,
we'll take some more questions and calls. 219-218-2735. But here is the biggest question of all. Are you a Cubs fan or a Sox fan?
Okay, I can answer that one. I'm a Cubs fan.
Okay, in spite of that, she'll be right. We're going to take a quick break. She'll be right back. The Cubs fan and the White Sox fan here on the morning call on WJOB 1230 AM 104.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Labor's District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and the last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Enjoy the taste of summer at the Farmers Market at Fox Point. Every Tuesday from 9 to 1, shop locally grown fresh produce, delicious baked goods, artisanal treats, and local culinary creations. Just minutes from I-8094, the Farmers Market at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is a perfect spot to hear acoustic musicians, stretch with morning yoga, and enjoy community fun throughout the season. To see all vendors and entertainment, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Okay, we're back, and we've got another caller. Good morning. We're going to let you ask your question, and then if you can hang up, Barb will answer it.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to get another question. And, you say that you're America first, you're following the MAGA policies, that kind of thing. Our infrastructure in this country is falling apart. That's pretty evident just if you look around here. Yet, I think what Dennis Kucinich said that next year under the omnibus, I think it is, 80% of our discretionary spending of the federal government is going to go to the Pentagon. How do you propose, and what ideas do you have, and what policies do you promote to actually bring that money back into our country to rebuild our infrastructure and put our people back to work? How do you propose to do that?
All right. If you hang up, we'll have her answer the question.
Well, one of the things that I think that the president is doing very successfully, he is utilizing tariffs to encourage reshoring industry back to this country. We need to bring our manufacturing back here. It was sent to China, to Taiwan, overseas, and let's bring that back. That's going to bring back great jobs. That is going to bring back more money for infrastructure. And obviously, we need to make sure that this country is safe, because if they blow us to smithereens, all the infrastructure in the world isn't going to do any good. So we have to make sure.
Yep. Got it. Yep, that's okay.
Okay. We have to make sure that we are, we're protecting this country first. But absolutely, we need infrastructure. We need internet infrastructure. We need energy infrastructure, we need road infrastructure, we need water infrastructure. All of those are critical infrastructures that are aging, and we need to make sure that we're paying attention. Hey, we saw that in this storm, right?
Right.
When everything was failing and nothing was working, and we have to make sure that we have those critical infrastructures modernized.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the disappointment about NIPSCO is that we've spent all this money all these years. They've charged us far higher rates than what are charged in the rest of this country. And then, we have this storm and things go down and you find out that, one caller this morning said that they replaced a pole near his house and the linesman told him that the pole was from 1955. So, and that was in Porter County, by the way.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, it's very frustrating. And we have another question. So I'm going to expand on this one. It says, ask her about Sharia law and not being compatible with our way of life. There are a lot of people that come to this country, okay, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Hindu, whether they're from different parts of the globe. They have different religious beliefs, different customs. I think instead of asking you about Sharia law, I'd like to ask you about how you go about making sure that there's that assimilation that doesn't exist right now in America.
It really does need to exist. And certainly if they want to practice their culture, their religion, but they can't demand that we provide space for them, that we provide funding for them, that the taxpayers are responsible to them in any way, and that they cannot dictate to their communities that they have to change how they're doing their lives, like broadcasting in the middle of the street during the day, the 5 calls to prayer. That is not consistent with the community that they're in. And they have to be respectful of where they're living and that they're in somebody else's country. So I think assimilation is a very critical thing, and that goes back to reforming immigration and making sure that the people are coming over here because they want to come over here, not just bring their country over here.
So a follow-up to that is, do you believe prayer should be allowed in schools?
I very much do.
Okay. This one says, should China own property in our country?
I don't believe so.
All right. And we have another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Barb, what could we do with all the monies on the unchecked fraud in democratic cities?
All right. There is. Let's expand on this. There is a lot of fraud.
An amazing amount of fraud.
We've all heard about the stories out of Minneapolis, for example. Nick Shirley and his investigation into the quality leering centers and the supposed medical transportation services that never have the buses have never moved one day in their life. That kind of fraud is troubling. You see a lot of those early childhood learning centers actually in Northwest Indiana. And I've been trying to get some of the local news sources to take a look at those because I see some of them, even near my home, I see 2 of them, and I've never seen a child there. How do you rein in those programs? But at the same time, there's a need for a lot of mothers to be able to find a place to take their kids and to give them that early childhood education. So how do you strike a balance?
Well, I mean, and think about all the people that actually need those services that can't get those services because you've got so much fraud, and we can't even afford to provide the services to the people who qualify for them. And it's not just Minnesota. It's California. It's Chicago. There's just so much fraud that's going on, and we have got to figure out a better way of making sure that those dollars are spent responsibly. And I am not sure exactly how we do that, but I am certainly willing to when I'm looking at all the fraud, waste, and abuse, I'm certainly absolutely looking at those sorts of things because they're robbing the people who actually need those services.
All right, we have another caller. Good morning. Ask your question and then hang up and she'll answer.
Oh, Barb, this is MX again. Are you for open borders like Mervyn? And I'll let you go. Tell me what you think about that.
All right. Are you for open borders?
I am definitely not for open borders.
All right.
You have the border be tight as a drum.
We have a number of questions.
Okay.
Let's see. This one is okay. So that is actually not this. I'm not going to ask that. That one's just ridiculous. Are you going to hire Tom Dabertin on your staff? No, because Tom Dabertin's not interested. No offense. How about these local green grifting environmentalists that are trying to shut down places like U.S. Steel that keep us all employed? So I think the real question is where do you strike the balance between environmental concerns and business concerns?
Well, and, I understand some of those health concerns are very valid, and we have to make sure that those businesses are acting responsibly. But we can't go overboard so that these businesses can't even function. So you're right, and you said the word balance. We have to strike a balance.
Okay. The question also asked kind of goes back to this issue with BP oil. And BP, of course, is a foreign-owned company. All right. It took over the old Standard Oil of Indiana, which was an American company. And so the question basically has to do with, are you supportive of foreign investment in the United States, A, and B, are you supportive of foreign ownership of companies in the United States?
Well, I am supportive of foreign investment. Until we can get our economy flourishing where we don't need it, and I don't know that will ever happen, where we won't encourage foreign investment in our country, because innovation is going to be important. We just need to make sure that we're doing it here and not in another country.
Okay. We have a couple more questions, and then we're going to let you out of here.
Okay.
And this was great, and we'd love to have you back.
All right.
Love to have you back when we have actual phone lines working and we're not working off my phone. When you look at Northwest Indiana and you look at the challenges that we have, okay, there are plenty of issues that Congress can't sort out, Congress can't address. But as a congressperson, you have a large role in representing Northwest Indiana. So it says, how can you weigh into supporting and sorting out some of the problems that don't necessarily relate to Congress?
Well, I think I have a great relationship of the elected officials in Porter County, and I hope to gain a relationship with the elected officials in Lake and Lepore County as well. And we just work together, we brainstorm, we figure out how we can best solve the problems in the district. And I'm 100% willing to sit down at the table with all of the stakeholders and make sure that their concerns are heard and that we are doing everything that we can to address them.
Yeah. Let's end with this. Let's give you a chance. To share any parting comments that you might have, the message that you want to get out to the voters to why they should support Barb Regnitz.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And this has been really fun, Tom. I wasn't sure how this was going to go or what some of the questions were going to be. But I will tell you, I am running because I love our country. And I believe that this is the most patriotic thing that I can be doing right now. I don't know if your listeners know, but I put a significant amount of money in, so I have skin in the game. I just feel like we need representation of the people here in this district. We need a voice. We need a warrior. We need a Sophie Cunningham in Congress for people in this district, and I will be that champion. I will be that warrior. And as someone closed their question before, they say, God bless America. That's how I'm going to close right now. God bless America.
You know what? I'm going to ask you one last question.
Okay.
The question is, what about would you impose personal limits on campaign donations?
There are personal limits on campaign donations currently. So
okay, so you support limits on campaign donations. Well, thank you, Barb, so much. This has been great. Folks, I apologize. I don't control the phone lines here. Sorry. I know a few people are texting me saying, you should have taken care of the phone lines. I can't take care of the phone lines. I let you use my cell phone. That's the best I can do. Why don't we take a quick break? We've had Barb Regnitz here. Again, we've reached out to Frank Mervan. I did it personally, in person. I told him that he's welcome to come on. He said he would think about it. So we want to be fair. We want to give everybody both sides of the issue. But Barb, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation. We'd love to come back.
And this has been great. You're listening to The Morning Call on WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, the TuneIn app, and YouTube Live. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the program. We also have a guest this morning that's going to talk about a fundraiser coming up. So keep it tuned right here. And at 8:30, Think Parks. We'll be right back.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Labor's District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
Planting a tree, installing a fence, whether your project is big or small, NIPSCO reminds you to know what's below and contact 811 at least 2 full business days before doing any digging so that utility companies can mark the location of their underground lines. Contacting 811 is free and it's the law. Avoid possible penalties, costly repairs, or injuries. DIY or a pro, safety is in your hands. Every dig, every time.
Fishing for a seafood meal without the stress or mess of cooking? Leave the work to the Strachan Van Til Seafood Department. For just $1 extra per pound, we'll fry, grill, or steam your fish with your choice of 3 kinds of breading. Try our fish and seafood dinners. Each includes a half pound each of seafood and fries, and a 1/4 pound of coleslaw. Want the freshest catch in town? Reel in the fish and seafood selections from your local Strachan Van Til.
All right, we're back, and you know what? I have to say, interesting idea. The idea that maybe we should have a debate right here on WJOB, and we'll invite Frank Mervan and Barb Regnitz, and we'll have a debate and see if they'll both come on and take your calls. And yes, I'd be willing to moderate that. So there you go. There's the answer to that. But we've got to change tracks right now. We have Steve Dahlkamp here, and we're going to talk about a benefit night to support Joe Cruzen Jr. So if you want to explain what's going on, and use this mic right here.
You got it. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Appreciate having some time here this morning. Yeah, as Tom said, we're having a benefit this Saturday night at St. Michael's Hall in Schererville. That's Saturday, August 22nd from 6 to 10 in Schererville. And it's a benefit for Joe Cruzen Jr. and his family, really. The event is $20 a ticket. We have auction items, raffles, food and drink, a cash bar, some music. And I just want to give a little background on why we're having the benefit. Joe is a region guy through and through, 64 years old, grew up in Hessville and East Chicago, a Bishop Knoll graduate, 1980. He was the oldest of 3 siblings. His brother Larry passed away years ago, and his sister Nancy is the principal at St. John Bosco right here in Hammond. And
I was just going to ask that. I thought that was the sister.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so Joe, for years, was a firefighter in Hammond. Went on to be the fire chief in Schererville for 14 years and retired then. And since then has done a variety of things. He's been married to his wife, Lindsay, for almost 40 years. They have 3 adult kids and 3 granddaughters. And sadly, he's had some back issues over the years. And, when people have back issues, they go in and they want to see what they can do to get it better. And unfortunately, he had surgery. Not unfortunately, he had surgery and had some complications after, and he's wheelchair ridden right now. And so his good friend Todd Schmidt, a Schererville resident, said, like most region people do, what can we do to help? Just like we've seen in the region the last 8 days, people come together to help each other. And so Todd is spearheading the event, the benefit on Saturday night. We've been able to obtain significant amount of donations and generosity of people, organizations, companies. And this is an event that 100% of the proceeds are going to go to Joe and his family. As you can imagine, when you're wheelchair ridden and you need to retrofit your house. You have to have a van that can carry a wheelchair and get you in and out. And just the associated, his caretaker is Lindsay, so she's unable to work. So all of this is just to help a true region guy.
Yeah, and I want to point out, as you said, he was Steve. He was a Hammond firefighter, and then went on to become the fire chief in Cherville, right?
That is correct.
And so this is a guy that's given back to the community. I mean, look, we've had plenty of fundraisers over the years for people in the region, but especially for somebody like Joe, and I know Joe. Knew him when he was in both Cherville and in Hammond. So this is a guy that basically gave his life for the betterment of his community, to help others in time of need, and just a really important facet that this is a former firefighter that basically has basically fallen into some medical despair that we can help him out.
That's right. So, again, the benefit is this Saturday night, August 22nd, from 6 to 10 at the St. Michael Hall in Cherville. And it's $20 a ticket. It's going to be number one, it's going to be a good time, but it's for a great reason. Joe's just a great guy. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Joe was an Eagle Scout as a youth and has stayed in Scouts for 30, 40 years since then. So besides the firefighter, he gave back to the youth with being a scout leader and what have you. So he is well known, because he was in Hammond for many years. You're a fire chief, people in that town and across the region. And as you kindly put, Tom, he is a region guy through and through. And this is somebody that, if you're able to help, that would be great. You can pay at the door. There is a GoFundMe page, or you can call Todd Schmidt, the organizer, at 219-798-8733, and he can help answer questions or take donations.
So there are benefit levels. You've got, Cub sponsor $100 to $199, Star sponsor $200 to $499, Life sponsor $500 to $999, and Eagle sponsor $1,000 or more. And there's various benefits of being those, being a sponsor, but I don't think that's important. I think that the bigger issue, Steve, is to give back to somebody who's been supporting the community all these years.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, this last week, we've seen this in the region far and wide with all the damage from the tornado and storms and people still without power. And so we're always getting pulled to help people. But when that happens, the region pulls together pretty well. And I think a benefit to help Joe is right there at the top. And people are so giving in this day and age, and just want to make sure people are aware of it.
Yeah, and again, it's Saturday evening from 6 until 10. Tickets very reasonable, $20. St. Michael the Archangel Church in Cherville, pretty easy to get to, folks. Even during these last couple of days with all the storm damage, it's pretty easy to get to. Take US 30, and it'll get you right there. And it'll be a nice evening. There's all kinds of things that'll be going on at the event, right?
Correct. Yeah, we have auction, we have raffles, the food and drink. Food is all included. There is a cash bar. There'll be some music, and Joe and Lindsay and their family will be there. So it'll be a good time. And any and all donations and contributions are so much appreciated for him and his family.
Yeah, and again, one of the nice things about the WJOB community over the years is we've been able to support a lot of these events, and this is one that we ask you to go out and support for Joe Cruzen, Junior, I guess I should say Junior, and firefighter, was a Hammond firefighter and then the fire chief in Cherville for many years. And needs your help and needs your support. So go out this Saturday evening, beginning at 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. at St. Michael the Archangel Church in Cherville. And if you can support the fundraiser in other ways, you can contact the event organizer Todd Schmidt at 219-798-8733. There is a GoFundMe page as well. And again, it's to offset the costs of medical care and needs due to the I guess the problems with the surgery, right?
Yeah, just some complications after the surgery. So he's upbeat attitude, a positive person, family, and even though it's in a tough situation, he's going to fight through it.
All right, very good, folks. Once again, we'll mention this before we go off the air this morning in about 15 minutes. But Steve, I appreciate you coming in and bring this to everybody's attention. And sorry about the wait, but again, Jed likes to stand in the window and shake his finger like now. And the fact is that we actually had this scheduled for 8:15. So, but that's okay. You didn't read the schedule, but we appreciate having you here. And anytime people have these kinds of fundraisers, I think it's so important to get the community involved, to show your support. And you want to come on WJOB. Reach out to us, and we'll be glad to promote it. But especially for a guy that has spent roughly 40 years, did you say?
He was a firefighter for over 30 years.
Yeah, over 30 years.
He's been in the region his whole life.
Yeah, so over 30 years, basically being a firefighter means that he was running into problems that everybody else is running away from. We owe him a debt of gratitude and support during this time of need. So once again, if you want more information, call 219-798-8733. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Morning Call, and then we'll wrap things up, and Think Parks will be on in just a few minutes.
Are you searching for a college where you belong? Calumet College of St. Joseph wants to know you and give you the support you need to succeed. Are you worried about how you'll pay for your degree? 95% of our students receive financial aid, including scholarships and grants. Need some extra help with your classes? You'll benefit from our small class sizes, free tutoring, internship planning, faculty mentors, and so much more. Come experience our accepting, supportive college family for yourself. Schedule your campus visit and apply at ccsj.edu.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its third generation providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strachan Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
All right, we're still digging out. Again, if you want to call, you can call 219-218-2735. I'm getting through a lot of texts, and I apologize, folks, but Barb Regnitz. Okay, somebody said you didn't give enough mention of her name, so it's Barb Regnitz. And we're trying our best. We're using my cell phone. So I've got to listen to your questions, and then I've got to check the text messages at the same time. And we've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Tom. Am I on?
Yes, you are. You're on the air live.
Hey, I just want to clarify something a point an earlier caller made.
Sure.
Did he say Jamie Blankman has been spoon-fed by his mother-in-law his entire life?
He just said Jamie. I didn't hear the last name.
Okay, so just to clarify, Jamie has been spoon-fed by his mother-in-law his entire life. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. All right, thank you.
All right, no problem. Again, folks, we don't screen calls on my show. We take your calls. We take them directly, and we appreciate everybody. It's part of the reason why we have talk radio, right? If we screen calls, if we limit conversation, then basically I'm not doing my job and you're not going to listen. And so I saw some people yesterday. I saw a good friend of mine, Jack Fritz, and Jack said, "Tom, I love listening to your show because you keep it lively and you take all callers, and that's what talk radio is all about." So I appreciate the fact that you take the time to listen, and I hope you enjoy the show. This has been a lot of fun today. Barb Regnitz I found to be quite refreshing and quite interesting. She's a Porter County commissioner, but you get the strong impression that she's not kind of the typical politician. She said, she got involved in politics only after COVID, and she was basically fed up with, as she said, with the nonsense that was going on, and that's why she got into politics. So it was great to have her, and love to have her again before the election. And she said if she is lucky enough to be elected, she'd love to come on a regular basis. And I think that's a great opportunity. By the way, I haven't mentioned this enough, but last Wednesday, Governor Braun was up in the region. He was here for a press conference in Hammond. And I was there. I was the WJOB reporter on the scene. I should have done my Cosmo Courier imitation, but I was on the scene, and or Larry Peterson. I can do him too. And I talked to the governor, talked to the governor's senior staff that was there, and the governor was kind enough to agree to come on. And so we came over to the station. We did about a half hour with him and then took some calls after. The governor has indicated now that he will be willing to be a regular guest on the morning call on WJOB. So that's kind of cool because we're working it out where he will basically Zoom in to the station once a month. So he'll be on virtually, but he'll be able to take your calls and answer your questions. And I think that's just going to be a fantastic opportunity for everybody to be able to ask the governor where he stands on issues and ask him about issues that affect our lives. And I found him to be very, very easygoing and no nonsense. I have to say, I have made some criticisms about Governor Braun, but once you get to meet him and you get to know him, you get the feeling that he is truly no nonsense and he's trying to do what's best. He moved through the federal declaration as a federal disaster area faster than just about any governor, probably of all 50. And you could say what you want. Yes, he's a Republican, but the fact is he got it done. Okay, he got it done in a time of need. Lake County, he said what he saw as far as damage deserved a federal declaration, and he was going to get it done. And he got it done in record time. And that says a lot about him and his commitment. And so look forward to having him on as a regular guest. And also, kind of wrapping up today, looking at what's gone on in the region over the last couple of days and last week. And I can't help but once again, thank some of the businesses that have stepped up in Northwest Indiana to help out residents. So Tim called earlier today and mentioned Strachan Van Til handing out hot dogs and chips and pop and water. They didn't have to do that, folks. Okay, you didn't see their competition doing it, but you saw them doing it, and so they went above and beyond, and they deserve a shout out. Home Depot. I know there are a lot of home improvement places in Northwest Indiana, but I don't know anybody that went to a greater extent than Home Depot. Home Depot is the world's largest home improvement center chain. They dominate the market in many ways, but you know what? They're great to have in your community because when there were problems, they were bringing in materials. And I talked to one of the assistant managers the other day. They brought materials in from all over. they had trucks coming in from up to 500 miles away, and they were bringing in equipment from just about everywhere, and that was amazing as well. And so I'm going to just take a quick check and see if this call wants to be on the air. Are you calling to be on the air? Yes, are you calling to be on the air? Okay. All right. I want to make sure. I'm going to put this caller on. And good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Good to hear your voice on the air. We've all been suffering through these losses of power in Hammond. And North Hammond, specifically Pulaski Park neighborhood, has been dark for 8 days since the storm. The good news is the trucks were here in the neighborhood last night. Part of the neighborhood got restored. I'm still in the dark, but eagerly awaiting the power to come on, hopefully today. Been in contact with NIPSCO and the mayor, and the reports were that about 32,000 Hammond residents were without power as of about yesterday. 24,000 were restored, and that's gone up since our neighborhood here has gone up. But also, I know that Robertsdale and parts of Whiting have been in and out of power all throughout this storm. So we have residents all across the district still without energy. Even in the new subdivision, some of the houses in that subdivision across from Moose Lake don't have power. So a lot of frustration, but I want to thank the city of Hammond and Public Works for all their work on tree removal, especially in our district. I had a tree in my alley, a tree on Henry, a tree on Torrance, trees in the alleys, and they look almost all to be taken care of, and primarily through city workers. So a big thank you for all their extra efforts and overtime in trying to clear the way so NIPSCO and other utility companies can come in and fix us up.
And I should point out, this is Mark Kilwinski. Mark Kilwinski is 1st District Councilman in Hammond. And, Mark, you're absolutely right. Hammond did an amazing job of clearing the streets and getting crews out. And there were crews out Sunday morning. And they have been working round the clock to get things done. And I be honest, I think Hammond has set the bar for everybody else when it comes to response. I mean, there's been constant communication on social media by the mayor and by the city departments. They've been out in the field almost continuously since the storm last Tuesday, and it says a lot about the commitment that the city of Hammond has had to its residents.
I was in touch with Victor from Northwest Indiana Food Bank to see if we can get some food assistance in the district, and what he was able to tell me was they were planning an event at the Sportsplex. He didn't have an official date yet, and he was trying to get an event in Whiting. Again, not an official date as yet, so not exactly in our neighborhood, but close enough to take advantage when they come, and hopefully there'll be an announcement soon about those appearances by the Northwest Indiana Food Bank. Also, the school city of Hammond is having drive-thrus at certain schools on certain days from 10 to 11 a.m. for breakfast and lunch for students who are in the car when they come to those locations. So there's some assistance locally being provided through different organizations. So we have to I don't have Wi-Fi right now, but when I do, I'm going to try to list some of those so that people are aware, or I'll call you on JOB because you're the voice of the region and get it out probably wider and better than anybody can anyway. So thank you for being there, Tom, to take the call, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Do as I do maybe, and just try to help your neighbors and family and loved ones survive this. And if we all do that, a lot of people are going to get help.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. And thanks so much for everybody that called today and texted. And again, as Mark said, there's been a lot of help, a lot of assistance throughout the region. And, whether it's Strachan Van Til or Home Depot or anybody else, there are a lot of neighbors helping neighbors. And we impressed that upon folks last week. And I still continue to say that, especially if you've got high school age kids and they can go out and they can spend a few hours helping out neighbors, clearing up things. Some great videos on Facebook the last few days of people doing just that, where families were going out and going into hard hit areas and just volunteering to help clear tree branches and to clear things. Be careful. Obviously, we don't want you anywhere near an active power line, but I think NIPSCO's de-energized most of that by now. But this is a disaster that's going to last a long, long time to come, and the effects at least. And it's sorry to say that, but it's true. And so any way you can help out, we'll be glad to promote that and give us a call. Folks, it's always a pleasure and honor to be here with you every Wednesday. Next week is a 2-for week, so it'll be Wednesday and Thursday. And that's a lot of fun because we get to continue the conversation for 2 days, and I love that. And we're working something out where maybe we'll be doing kind of regular twofers coming up where, every other Wednesday or every other week maybe. But we're working on that. With that, it's time for me to say goodbye and have Think Parks come on in my place. So keep it tuned right here all day, all week to WJLB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. And we'll see you next Wednesday morning beginning at 6 a.m. Don't forget, it's a 2-for week, so you get me Wednesday and Thursday. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Open 7 days a week in 4 convenient locations: Highland, Griffith, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, air freshener, and a towel with every wash. It's fast, safe, and gentle. For more information and hours of all our locations, visit myeasyclean.com. Also, see how you can wash your car daily with our $10 Ultimate Wash for only $19.99 per month. Give your car the best clean at Easy Clean Car Wash.
Hey Region, I'm T, and I grew up in East Chicago, went to college in Gary, worked out of Munster, and raised my family in Crown Point. I'm Region to the core. I created Region Hot Sauce, the flavor of the region. Added to chicken, fish, pizza, eggs, and more for the perfect blend of heat and flavor. Visit RegionHotSauce.com for a complete list of locations or to order direct. Region Hot Sauce, the flavor of the region.
Folks, guess what? It's Tom Dabertin. Think Parks isn't here yet, so I'm going to continue my show. I know this seems kind of a little disorganized, but we normally have Think Parks, and I don't know if because of the storm, maybe that's kind of impacted them. So guess what? You got me till 9 a.m. now. 219-218-2735. You can give me a call and we'll be able to talk, and we have a caller already. So let's go right to that caller. Walt, good morning. You're on the air.
Wow. I was really impressed with Barb Regnance's response to questions and so forth. I didn't realize she came from I know she was very commonsensical, but I didn't realize she came from a strong business family. When I was a business professor, I found that students who came from a business family, it was like having an MBA.
Yeah, they understand things, and
Yes.
it was great to meet her. It was great to listen to her. I'd love to have Mervan come on and give his views on things as well. But I think Barb did a great job of basically relaying the fact that she's not just another politician running for office. She hasn't been a politician all that long, but she's been pretty successful as one, and I liked a lot of her answers. Absolutely.
She is very smart and well spoken. I would say from just reading the press concerning her performance in Porter County as a commissioner and so forth, that she had a reputation of being practical, problem-solving oriented, not a narrow partisan ideologue or anything like that. That she took her job seriously as a public servant to get stuff done for the average American family. So, if we can get her to Washington, she would not be an embarrassment. When asked to stand in support of America First, she'll be right there. So
well, one of the things that struck me is even the individual that kept on texting and asking about the fact that she made fun of the tent blowing down at some event in Highland for the Democrats, but the Republican tent didn't blow down, and the person took offense to that, and she said, "Look, if." I thought her response was pretty good. I mean, it was very quick.
Absolutely.
And she just said, "Hey, if that's the biggest issue you have, well, great." I mean, I think she did a very good job. She is again a little bit different than what I expected. I expected kind of a seasoned politician. And she's not, but you're right. She's clearly a business professional. She knows and understands business very, very well. And I think she did herself a big favor coming on this morning.
The Democrats should be made fun of when you consider what they have major officials of the Democrat Party who are talking about eliminating the police, eliminating the Supreme Court, eliminating our border security, eliminating. It just
Walt,
allowing men to be in women's sports and so forth.
So I want to clarify. There is a war going on right now within the Democratic Party.
Yes,
basically to take over the agenda of the Democratic Party, and
right.
I don't think I don't think a lot of Democrats, especially local Democrats, are going to support some of the nonsense that these radical left have come up with. But what's scary is that they're trying to push it as the national agenda for the Democratic Party.
They're serious.
And so you take a guy like Tom McDermott. Dave Warple, Mark Kelwinski, they're all Democrats. They're good guys. Mark Kelwinski was just on trying to give an update of what's going on in North Hammond, and Dave Warple has literally been out in his district cutting down trees for people. McDermott has been all over the place when it comes to the storm. And I don't think they have any interest in some of those ridiculous claims, defund the police and we're going to open borders and get rid of prisons and all this extremism. The problem is that these people are hijacking the National Democratic Party. And then you've got local Democrats who are really good people who do a great job, who deserve your support and deserve to be reelected. And their party is being hijacked by this nonsense, and I think that's problematic. I really do. I think that there's also the national media that plays into this, that they're kind of promoting this nonsense agenda as a legitimate agenda, and to me, the co-chair of the Democratic Socialist wing of the party was on with Shannon Breen 2 weeks ago, and she asked her, she said, "Are you for, getting rid of prisons?" And she said, "Yes." "Are you for defunding the police?" "Yes." "Are you for, having an unrestricted border?" "Yes." And, this is somebody who's becoming a leader of the National Democratic Party. And then you've got local Democrats scratching their heads saying, what the hell does this have to do with anything about getting service restored to my district or getting streets paved and making sure that my community is safe? And I think that's problematic. The Republicans went through a similar phase, although I don't think not as extreme.
Nothing like this.
But, they had some extremists that basically rose to the leadership of the party some years ago, and I also think that the Republicans are going to have a bit of an identity crisis when Donald Trump is no longer president. I think that's a possible problem, but they haven't had these total extremist views. I mean, get rid of all police? Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? You believe that you can get rid of the police? And these people aren't kidding. I mean, I thought they'd go on there and say, oh, look, we made them, it was, a bad time and you asked me a bad question. I mean, AOC actually is trying to do that right now. She's trying to backpedal on this stuff. But she's one of the crazies that's been leading the party for years. So she kind of deserves what she sowed. But yeah, it's frightening. I mean, I saw an interview with Ms. Nixon from Florida last night. This is the Democratic candidate for senator in Florida, which she has no chance of winning, given her extremist views. But once again, she is talking about, we're going to defund the police. We're going to get rid of prisons. We're going to open our borders. Yep. We're going to have, Medicare for all and free college education for everybody. And you'll just work when you want to work. And it's like, it doesn't work. It's crazy.
I know the left very well, dating back to the 60s and the flag burning and making common cause with the communists in Indochina and all the rest of it. And I know when they push these agenda items, they are not kidding. The interesting thing in terms of grassroots Republicans, sometimes they don't want to believe it. They said, "Oh no, they're just a little bit crazy now, but nothing would ever happen if you give them the power and they'll run it down your throat in a minute. You can be sure of it." Well, they're not kidding.
You had the Tea Party Republicans. You had some crazies, but they weren't this crazy.
Nothing like this.
I mean, this is crazy. I mean, this is where you're basically telling us, we're going to get. By the way, we're also going to trash the Constitution. We're going to get rid of the Senate. We're going to get rid of the presidency. We're going to have the Supreme Court is going to basically report to Congress. I mean, are you kidding? So no independent judiciary. And
nope.
I saw an interview with James Carville, and I've always had a lot of respect for Carville, and I've respected a lot of his views and opinions. And Carville is saying, hey, now he's basically saying, oh, don't worry, these are just some extremists that are making a lot of noise, and they're really not representing the Democratic Party. But I'm afraid that Carville in this case is just trying to play down the situation because he understands the damage that these people are doing to the Democratic Party. And I appreciate what he's trying to do. But the fact is that if these people take over, they're going to get rid of all of the moderates in the Democratic Party. I don't know what local Democrats do at that point, because they don't want moderate views. They want extreme views. And they made it very clear. They want to get rid of Hakeem Jeffries, and they want to get rid of Chuck Schumer. Well, everybody should get rid of Chuck Schumer. It shouldn't matter where you're at, because he's worthless. But these people basically, they want to purge the Democratic Party of only people who think like them. And that to me is frightening. Yeah, I don't know. Getting back to Barb Regnitz, I thought it was refreshing. She's it's hard for, somebody to claim that, I'm just thinking back to Jennifer Ruth Green. They said, well, she was a carpetbagger. You can't say that about Barb. She's been here for a long time. You can't say she doesn't understand local issues because she's a county commissioner. She's got a lot of things going for her. But I would love, by the way, folks, I would love to have both of them here. If Frank Mervan and Barb Regnitz want to hold a debate, they want to hold a debate here or anywhere else, I'll be glad to moderate that debate for them. Barb Regnitz said absolutely 100% she'd be willing to do it. Love to have Frank Mervan make the commitment as well. Again, he knows me a lot better than Barb Regnitz, and she's willing to take him up on the offer, so I'll throw the offer out. I will host a debate between the two of them anywhere, anyhow. If somebody wants to call me off the air and partner as to where we hold it, I'll be glad to do that. But we can hold it here on WJOB as well. And I really hope that Frank again rethinks the offer and comes on and gives people a chance for him to answer their questions. And that's part of the problem. He wants to come on, but he doesn't want to take phone calls. And you're a congressman. You represent the people, and you work for the people. And so I wish he would change his mind, but that's up to him. In the meantime, I think we'll have Barb Regnitz on again. She did a great job answering questions.
She will not embarrass this area, and she comes from traditional Hoosier values, and we won't be embarrassed by her conduct as a congressman.
Now, let me ask you a question, Walt, since we've got time, and a lot of people probably, and I included, didn't realize we weren't going to have Think Parks this morning, but I want to get back to the storm. Okay, now you had a backup generator, and so your power went back on, I think you said yesterday?
Yeah, I got the right, yes.
And when you look at the outage, of course, it wasn't horrible for you because you've got the backup generator, but for a lot of people in your neighborhood who didn't have that, it's been hell for the last
horrible
week. And you got to go back and you got to wonder. And again, I'm not blaming the linemen. I'm not blaming the NIPSCO workers. I think they're great. I think they do their job.
Of course.
But where in the heck has the leadership been with NIPSCO all these years? I mean, this system didn't fall apart years ago. It's been an archaic mess for years. And, now it's coming to the surface that, NIPSCO's polls, like, Tim, who called in this morning and said the NIPSCO poll across the street from him was last put in place in 1955. Excuse me. Or MX, who talked about the isolators that are used up on top of poles. And he was a lineman over at U.S. Steel, and he said, or at the mill. And he said, look, you could drive down the street and you can tell the old isolators from the new ones. And he's absolutely right. Most of the NIPSCO isolators are the old ones. They're not the new ones. They're not that medium gray. They're the old kind of brown colored isolators. I mean, NIPSCO, there's got to be a way to hold NIPSCO leadership accountable. They have disrupted so many lives unnecessarily. And yeah, we had big storms and sure, we're going to have other crews from other areas come in and help restore power. But the stuff that they're finding, they're saying is troublesome, that this is just an archaic system. What do you do in a case like that?
Well, I am no friend of NIPSCO, and I have trashed NIPSCO's top management repeatedly over WJOB. There are these technical problems at the working level, but there's a larger problem, and that is, in my opinion, from reading their propaganda that I get in my mail from them, and reading about them in the media and so forth, they are moving Indiana toward a California model, away from, instead of having a diversified sources of energy like we have now. They want to go to a California model where it's no coal, no nuclear, strictly non-carbon, wind power and solar power. That's where they're going with us. And if you want to know what that means, just look at California, which I've reminded your audience over and over again. Look at California to see how they have to live. The NIPSCO management keeps saying to us, implying that as we get more and more less carbon oriented, the price of energy is going to go down. If you look at California, it is astronomical. They have gone down that path of less and less non-traditional sources and more solar and wind, and telling repeating the thing about, oh, it's all free. No, it's not free. But that's where they're going, and the management is getting rich while the average ratepayer is getting poor. I've done the math. We're getting double-digit increases in the price of energy a year upon year. I mean, whoa! If you compound that 15 to 20% increase over time, it's going to be like California. I mean, the price of energy is just out through the roof.
Well, plus they charge you a separate service fee on your bill. It says, electric service fee. Okay, that's supposedly for upgrading the system. But, you're a professor of business. If I contract you for goods and services and you don't deliver, normally there's some sort of a recourse. Okay, I have some legal rights. I have some rights to a refund. You're not going to get any of that out of NIPSCO. NIPSCO basically just takes your money, and there's no accountability. I mean, where is it that it says once a year? Where's the report that shows NIPSCO has replaced half of their utility poles, or they've replaced these isolators that MX is talking about, or they've installed these what I call carabiner clips that hurricane areas installed. And I understand from the linemen, by the way, in South Florida, that those clips are being put in all over the United States, but sure don't see them around here. Where's the effort to say, okay, we did not deliver, so here's your refund or here's your recourse? There's nothing.
The only recourse we have as ratepayers is putting pressure on our political leadership to get on their butts and stay on it until they start acting responsibly and stop pretending that they can replicate California here in Indiana and it's going to be better for the ratepayers. That is a bull-faced lie. It's been 10 years in corporate America. I know very well how they operate.
Well, we've got one more caller. We got one more caller. All right. Good morning. You're on the air.
Tom, MX, one more time.
Yeah.
And thank gosh we have great linemen. But here's NIPSCO's preventative maintenance program. I think this is what they're doing. They're waiting to one pole snaps or grounds out and they'll go change it. But they got fooled by this big storm and it took all the poles out that should have been changed by NIPSCO if they had a preventative maintenance program.
Yeah.
There's no way they have a preventative maintenance program like Inland Steel did in their tower gang. So I guarantee you, if I was at a board meeting, that they would say, it's cheaper to let the tree fall and let the pole snap, and we'll do one at a time. But they got full in that high wind. I got a lot of respect for Burley Suggs, his husband. I would like him to come on and explain the preventative maintenance program that they don't have. Could you get Mr. Suggs on? Like I said, I got a lot of respect for anybody that works for NIPSCO. Could you get him on?
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you, I would invite him, but I will say, truthfully, I've got a lot of respect for Mayor Eddie Melton. I met him at the press conference last Wednesday, and I've got to say, Mayor Melton came up to me, introduced himself, talked to me for a few minutes, and I was pretty impressed by his approach. And, of course, he had worked for NIPSCO as well at one time, but he just said, hey, this is, there's a lot of problems and there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made. And he wasn't pulling any punches. He wasn't standing there saying, making any excuses for anybody. In fact, he was pretty demanding that he wanted power to be restored to his community as quickly as possible. So I give Mayor Eddie Melton a lot of credit. I thought he did a really good job at that press conference. I already praised McDermott, so I don't have to repeat myself on McDermott, but I thought Melton did a good job at that press conference of presenting his needs and talking about the needs in Northwest Indiana as a whole. I thought everybody that was at the press conference basically did a good job, although I will say, without picking on him, I thought Frank Mervan was a little bit out of place. I don't even know if the governor knew that he was there until Mayor McDermott kind of walked over to the governor and whispered, that's Frank Mervan over there. And then basically the governor asked Mervan if he wanted to speak. But I thought some of the mayors in Northwest Indiana have done a really good job with explaining and responding to their constituents. I mean, you go on Facebook and there's, almost constant posts by McDermott. There are videos from his department heads talking about what's going on. East Chicago, I saw Mayor Copeland actually get on. He said, now listen, I'm going to tell you like it is because I'm going to read this statement. This is the latest statement from NIPSCO. And he read it on the air, read it basically into a video so that people knew what was going on. Mayor Pete Land out of Crown Point, former police officer, police chief. I mean, the guy has been like nonstop. In fact, he said, if you want me to come by, if you're upset and you got a complaint and you want me to come by and you want to just take it out on me, feel free. Here's my number. And he actually invited people to call him. And he said, I'll come by to your home if you want me to. If you're having a problem, the town of Munster, I've noticed town council has been out there. I think there's been great response by a lot of communities, but NIPSCO is at the heart of this problem. And you feel for the linesmen that are working 24 hours a day right now, but you don't feel much sympathy for the people that run the company. That's for sure, MX. So
this problem happened long before Eddie Melton was born. This happened, and again, I will say it again, the Great Society problem hurt Gary more than it helped them. This is not Eddie Melton's fault. This is not Mayor Karen's fault. This is not Mayor Prince's fault. Yeah, some residents get carried away and do the wrong thing and think it's funny.
Yeah, you talk about the shooting, and that should have never happened either. That's absolutely right. Hey, thanks so much for the call. So now we will end the day officially because now I'm out of time. It's 9 a.m., and we do have guests here from the School City of Hammond, which will be following this show. I do want to mention the benefit for Joe Cruzen Jr. again. Joe is a lifelong resident of Northwest Indiana. He was a firefighter in Hammond and then went on to be the fire chief in Cherville. And due to a medical issue, they're having a fundraiser for him this Saturday, August 22nd, from 6 to 10 p.m. Tickets are $20. It's at St. Michael the Archangel Church in Cherville. And if you want more information about being a sponsor or supporting the event, you can call Todd Schmidt at 219-798-8733, 219-798-8733. And folks, I'll be back here next Wednesday and Thursday morning to take your calls and to talk to you. It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor. Keep it tuned right here all day, all week to WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. Have a great day, folks. Take care.